Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everyone. Episode 270 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, who's taking control with me tonight.
This is Joe Butler, and it's his day 95 of me being stuck in this goddamn building with only off-brand snacks that don't have a label.
This is Nate McClellan, brought to you by Banana Chips.
This is the Let's Play Princess Phoebe Stanton. Find it very weird that Remedy got the rights to one of my favorite kids' cartoons.
I am a worm through time. The thunder song distorts me. Happiness comes. I'm Michael Colby from Jack Billings Presents Haunted Apartment Complex.
Welcome back, all of you. And we are going to talk about a game that I had no interest in doing, but because of Michael Colby, it's on the show. I had an interest, but I wouldn't have made it happen. You bullied into me to fight. Well, you kept talking about how great it was. So I'm like,
yeah. Hey, you know what? Thank you, Michael Colby. That's one more game I have knocked off my list that I need to beat.
I am such an advocate for this game. I think it's special in an era of video games where very few things are truly unique. I think the fact that this came out is almost a miracle.
And we're here to talk about Control, developed by Remedy, published by 505 Games, and came out in 2019. And everything else, 2021, pretty much. And it was on Stadia.
What's a Stadia?
What is a Stadia?
I didn't know it was on Stadia.
Yeah, nor did Stadia probably. So,
welcome to the FBC, where one of our objects of power is a Stadia. What does it do? Oh, you don't want to fucking know.
So I've always been curious about Control. It came out in 2019. I remember, that looks cool, and I liked Remedy because I love Alan Wake 1. But for some reason, I just didn't like. I had gotten this for free in the PlayStation Plus store when I had PS Plus. Got the Ultimate Edition free. I got it for free on Epic at some point. I bought it on Steam I had this game in multiple ways, and I've just never had. I was like, I'll get to it someday. And yeah, I mean, and thanks to Colby, I finally played through it.
And you had a wonderful time.
I did.
You did.
For the most part, I did. It wasn't bad. And Nate, what's your history with this game?
I got a Game Informer in the mail, and it had Control on the cover, and I said, that looks cool. And then I borrowed it from a friend in 2020, and I played through it, and I did not like it. And then I was like, I mean, we'll get more into it in the episode, but the difficulty really, towards, in the middle of the game, with the boss fights especially, I was like, wow, that is some wildly varying difficulty. And then I enjoyed my time a lot more with it this go around.
Okay. Joe.
Same issue, same thing. I saw this game, and I'm also a huge fan of Alan Wake and all the goofy shit. I played all the DLC for Alan Wake, and, we did American Nightmare. So when I heard this was coming out and how batshit banana shoes it was going to be, I really wanted to play it, and I just never got the time for it. I always restarted from square one every time I replayed it, and apparently I got almost towards the ending that I found out recently. But same thing too. It's just the game's fucking unbearably fucking hard, and I just did. When y'all said that, oh yeah, there's a way to bump up the how much damage you do and how much damage you take, and it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna do that. And then I did the AWE DLC on Immortal, and I can now see why it was a good thing to do it on Immortal, because that whole DLC is bullshit.
We'll talk about that at the end, but yes. Phoebe.
I played this game when it first came out. I was already into all the things that this game is a love letter to: analog horror, Candle Cove, the SCP Foundation. So it just vibed with me. But yeah, this game is incredibly hard at points, and it just gets worse from there.
Yeah. And Colby.
I'm sort of the opposite of a lot of people in that, I mean, we discussed it when we did American Nightmare. I was not a huge fan of the original Alan Wake. I didn't beat it until after I played Control. I was sort of whatever. I loved the Max Payne games, back in the PS2 era, but I was like, whatever with Alan Wake. And then when this came out, I was just looking for a game. So I just happened to pick it up, and I'm like, this is incredible. And my cats are fighting, so give me 1 second. But that's really my experience with this game.
You need to go take control.
Yeah, let me go.
Go, kitties, go. Fuck up Colby.
Go
Well, they're
drown
not
some
fighting.
toys in the water.
They're not fighting with me.
My cats fight too.
That is say,
Right
they
now-
will be soon.
Claws engaged. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know if this was actually a suggestion game too. Like, I mean, this game kind of surprised me a lot. Like, I knew very little going into it. Like, I knew that it was a third-person shooter. I don't think I even knew about the telekinetic stuff for some reason. Like, I knew nothing going into this game. And I think that's a great way to play it.
It's okay. I also sometimes forget that you can fly in this game, but that's whatever.
No, that's fair.
Falling with style is what they call it.
Yeah, because you're just levitating, but you slowly fall.
Drop kicking.
I never did that. I didn't unlock that ability until way late in the game.
And so if you like that type of stuff, you should play Gravity Rush.
I want to. I really do one day. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But I do want to play it. I remember it being really expensive for the remastered. At least physical copies were.
Oh, yeah, I think you can play it on PlayStation Plus for free.
Oh, okay, then that's not bad. I don't have PS Plus, but I will later this year, unfortunately, because I'm going to need it for Bloodborne. So, in case I need that. So I'm going to need help.
Oh, yeah. No, just
I
get
did
good.
beat Bloodborne
That's what I
once.
did.
But yeah, I'm going to need help. I'm going to be beating that in a couple weeks, so not going to be fun. But that's not what we're here for. But like with Control, like the story got me right away too, because it's such a conspiracy theory. Like the whole idea is that you have this character that shows up at this building called the FBC, Federal Bureau of Control.
Yep.
And it's a building that apparently if you don't know it exists, you can't find it.
The oldest
Yes.
house.
Yes. And I love conspiracy stories, and I love an idea of a government agency being like a government agency, being very secret and being very hidden and not, no one's aware of what they're actually up to. Like, I mean, I could see this being real, and I could see the government handling the thing the same way this government does. I mean, you could.
It's also a weird goofy thing. Like Phoebe mentioned it earlier, and I forgot what the name for it is, but it's the same thing where like whenever I play Control, I'm like, man, could really go for that first season of Loki again because of all like the weird like 60s aesthetic and
Oh, yeah.
everything.
The TVA.
Like yeah, but there's like a name that you and me came up with where like it looks like everything's stuck in like the 60s and 70s. I can't think of what it was.
Is it Art
Yeah.
Deco? Or not the word I'm looking for. There's a name for what you're talking about, like for that
Yeah.
certain style, and yeah, I don't know what it is.
Deco, but it's not 100% that.
like liminal.
Yeah, it's a little
Liminal.
spacing.
Yeah,
Words.
it's the same. It's the same thing with like how Alien is like 80s retro tech in the future and all that goofy shit.
Yeah, because it was current tech at the time. Yes.
Mhm.
No, I like that. I really appreciate the style of what they had going on, because the idea of the oldest house didn't really change that much, so it was always kind of behind with the styles. And you're in this building. So, like, I had heard comments before we played this game. People were like, "Oh yeah, I heard open world mentioned of multiple different times, probably from Colby too." And this game just open world very, very well, because it doesn't really feel like an open world, but it is.
But you're also playing a later version of the game, because when this game first came out, the map fucking sucked.
What was wrong with it?
Everything was done on a 2D plane. The place was 5 levels tall, then it was still just shown as one 2D flat surface.
Oh, okay. My brain is not comprehending what you're saying exactly. But somebody out there understands what you're saying. My brain just not cooperating.
It also did not run super great, like on PlayStation 4.
Oh,
Oh.
no, it did
was
not run great.
Very, very rough.
Oh, and then we mentioned that in the chat too. One of the reasons that also turned me off from this game originally is that dying takes like fucking 20 minutes to come back.
It's
Oh my God.
I mean, you're exaggerating, but it is too long, and you can feel it sometimes.
Well,
No,
there is a way that you can avoid that and don't die.
Get good.
Yeah, get good.
I mean, I didn't like it when it happened, but I didn't have it a ton, except for certain boss fights where I died a lot. I also really appreciate the fact that, like we'd mentioned earlier a little bit, but that this game had the features to help you, where you can mess with immortality, you can mess with everything. Like, I know that wasn't in there when the game started, but do
This
I
is the
appreciate
first time
that?
I'm hearing about this.
What, you didn't know about the assistance things?
No.
I thought that was in the game originally. It wasn't until I
No,
think one of you guys said something to me like, yeah, that wasn't there.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Imagine-
Oh, man.
When this game,
Imagine doing that Polaris fight with no assistance and like very little health and just peeking out from a corner and using that sniper mode for the gun. Like it was like a 50-minute battle for me
Well, I was
to
gonna say,
like
you
even
could also
finish the
use
game.
A lot of the game after a point was me either using telekinesis or using possession specifically on the wheelchair enemies that
Yes.
float around.
yeah, you got to
Yeah.
get that. You got to get that launch up. You got to get that launch up and use that. I think the first fight with the former, I had a problem with, where the floor falls out, and the anchor I had a problem with. But other than that, man, people keep talking about how hard this game is. I felt like a freaking god going through this game.
I think
was like-
I beat the game legit. It was the DLC when I broke down and used all the assists. I think I did the game legit. There was one spot where I turned it on to get through one fucking room because I kept getting killed by mold. But to be honest, it was optional, so I could have just skipped
Oh.
it.
Yeah, I mean, if you did the side missions for what's her face down in the mold area,
Yeah, I was.
you get immune to the mold.
It wasn't the
Oh.
mold that was killing me. It was the turret mold guy shooting me constantly that was killing me. So that part didn't help. But yes, it was just one fucking room.
I have a very important question for Mr. Mike Albertin, which is part of the story as well,
Please.
because I know how we all feel. Mike, how do you feel about Ati?
Oh
I don't care for
no!
That is the wrong.
I know.
Oh
I
my
didn't-
god!
He's just there. Like, okay. I mean, I like the idea that he's the one that leads you here and you're to be his assistant. I do like that. I also don't understand. We'll get into it in a little bit, but I don't understand all the lore because I didn't read any of the files that the game tells you.
Oh
I
my
didn't
god!
watch the videos. Yes, I know you
Oh
told me
my
not to do this, Colby,
Mike,
but
I'm pretty sure nobody has read all the documents. There's like thousands of.
I didn't read
collectibles in this
any.
game.
I didn't read a single one.
Yeah, but
Oh,
funny enough, if you go back to one of our previous podcasts with me and Mike in it with the Assassin's Creed, there's a early on document where you can find out that what the hell is the weapon in this game called? The side piece, the sidearm,
the gun
the gun.
slash Excalibur slash
Yeah.
Daniel, slash every single like legendary weapon in existence.
Yes.
Oh, and we should say there's spoilers for Control throughout this episode. I should say that.
Is that
So
not how this show always works? Are we?
It
are
is,
we
but-
not working off of the idea that we're going to be spoiling? This
I mean,
game?
I am, yes, but when it's a newer game, I like to say it in case somebody is listening. When it's newer stuff, I tend to say it. Not
It's
with old.
5 years old.
Newer.
I know, but it doesn't even feel like it's 5 years old. I guess 2020 just really like messes. I was watching something today. It was talking about 2020, and I'm like, God, that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, we lost like 3 to 4 years thanks to the pandemic.
I recorded a lot of podcasts, though, by the way, in early 2020. Oh, it was great. Nobody was busy, so it was wonderful.
I
Of
had
course,
to
I had to delete like 10 of them, but hey.
in 2020, I had to figure out how to record an audio drama remotely. It was not a good time.
And he pulled it off.
We did pull it off, but as someone who did not know any of the tech to do that at the time, and I had to figure it out myself, it was not fun.
I can definitely see that. Were you still working during the COVID, or did you get off?
We had I I work for a company that makes medical devices.
Oh, so you were working.
Yeah, we had like 2 weeks off, and that was it.
I had 0 days off. I worked for FedEx at the time. I was never off. I was sitting at a store talking with people because we had nothing else better to do because it was dead. But we were there. So, and luckily my company's like, yeah, we know there's nobody's working. We're just going to let you guys go to different stores. At least you're employed. I'm like, okay, get your hours. I'm like, all right. Then they laid off people. But they brought people back. FedEx was pretty good. I'll never forget, off top, but I do want to say this. I remember this one guy came into the store where he used to work at, but he was off because of he's one of the few people that got put on furlough. And I remember him coming in and tell people how much money he was making sitting at home while we were working, making less money. And I have never wanted to strangle somebody before like that. Like I'm like, you fucker, go home. Like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you telling us? Like, he literally went in there and said, yeah, I'm making, this amount of money. I forget what it was. He was making like $1,200 a week, and we're working and we're making less. We're making that in like a paycheck. It's like, it's like, you fucker.
I would beat him with a hammer.
My favorite part of the pandemic is when all retail workers were considered heroes.
Yeah, that lasted really long, didn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I actually had one old guy come in once, and he said, "You're a hero, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess that's what the sign says out there, huh?" And he goes, "So you fought in a war?" And I was like, "Okay."
Okay.
I was like, dude, that like I don't get to make what corporate wants to market right now. Okay. Like,
Yes, this guy working at the retail store is completely in charge of what goes on in the corporate setting. Yes, that's all that works.
right.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people did play this in 2020. A lot of people played this during the pandemic, so it fits the theme.
Yeah.
Right.
I missed a lot of stuff
Nonsense.
in this game that I was just completely unaware of until later. When the
it-
game starts off and Jesse's talking to Polaris, all I could think of was, Zach, I wonder what she thinks about this, Zach. Like, that's what was in my head immediately. I'm like, Polaris is going to turn out to be a person that's real, that somehow has absorbed into her brain, like something like that.
You mean the real Jesse? Polaris is the real Jesse. If you're going Zach,
Yes.
Would you have been surprised if that had happened?
No, I was expecting it. But that's what came to my mind immediately, Deadly Premonition.
No.
Immediately.
You want to know something even creepier? Do you notice Ati reads your fucking subtitles?
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
that's so good.
because whenever she first meets him, she goes, a janitor. He works the night shift. He must be a little crazy. And she thinks that, and Ati goes, I'm not crazy. I'm just the janitor.
I did not catch that.
Mm-hmm. He does it like 3 or 4 times whenever you talk to him.
Oh, that might be.
Yes.
I didn't
Ati,
talk to him.
just the janitor. Obviously,
I
nothing
thought he
else
was.
going on with except being the janitor.
That's what I thought. Like, I was just so confused because this game just drops you in and you see the director shoot him, just shoot himself in the head. You pick up the gun. All of a sudden, they're like, you're the new director. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And it took a while. I mean, it took a while before I really understood what was happening in this game.
My favorite moment too is that situation happens. You walk in there and pick up the gun or whatever, and you immediately walk out, and all the pictures of the guy change to pictures of you in like a really nice suit. It's just like,
Oh, I didn't catch
fuck?
that.
And you can unlock
Yes.
the suit.
That's what that's my favorite type of storytelling, the kind where the person who's writing it trusts the audience to figure it out themselves. Like, it is not holding your hand. It's just, here's what's happening, and you're either going to get into it or you're not. And we don't care either way. And I appreciate that.
That's fair. That's completely fair. I mean, and I like that too. I mean, the game has a lot of story I'm assuming in the notes that I didn't read any of.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh my God, that's where the whole story is.
And that's like they just straight out without telling you tell you what the oldest house is.
that's what you guys are for.
Fair.
I mean, that was kind of I looked up YouTube video, like, oh, okay, I'll just watch YouTube video about the lore. And they started talking. I found some guy on YouTube talking about the lore, and he would start like explaining scientific things. And I'm just like, what the fuck am I listening to? And then I just
How much Scandinavian mythology and Norse mythology did he go into?
none. I stopped watching
he
the
missed a
videos.
lot.
I just got into he was like, oh, we're going to explain the theory of entropy. And before he talked about whatever, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I did learn what
Beings
entropy
don't
is.
have to have physical forms.
think we
You can
watched the
have
same
living
video.
creatures made out of sound.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. I'm just like, this is not what I want. I want like Vadi Vidya videos of Dark Souls where he just explain shit to me. Like, don't make me have to understand science. I just want the answers that I'm looking for.
Lore dump.
Yeah, I did follow that podcast. I didn't
Okay.
listen to it yet. Because
Okay.
I don't really listen to podcasts, unfortunately. I'm too busy right now. Currently, once my jobs change and I actually have to find out what driving in a car again to work is, then I'll listen to more podcasts.
Well, it's also on YouTube, so
This falls in the same category.
okay.
Speaking
I
of
have a
YouTube-
job where I'm on the phone, so I can't do other stuff.
The
sound.
craziest piece of lore that I watched on YouTube was about the NSC plant. Like, I messaged Michael Colby. I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Like, it blew my mind. Do you know what NSC stands for, Mike?
No idea.
Northmore Sarcophagus Containment. Do you
I
know
would
who?
not have guessed that.
Yeah. Apparently, Northmore was the director before Trench, and he got hot, I guess. So to like keep him from blowing up, they put him in this containment plant, and he
Yes.
powers the whole oldest house. And I was like, "What the fuck?
What the
dude?"
fuck?
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah,
I was like, how did I miss this lore? Like,
This is awesome.
yeah, the furnace has that you do a mission inside, like you do the mission where you toss the garbage into there.
The toxic waste, yes.
Yes, that's him in there. Like when the furnace is talking to you, that's the old director.
Oh.
Yeah, I never
Yeah.
thought that was the old director. I just thought it was some entity that they had captured and
Same.
decided was going to fuel the thing.
It's a document that's like I think it's inside because I also obviously did not read all of that because it's insane, but this is like the only game where I've ever been interested enough to read. Like I went searching for documents and I would sit there and listen to radio transmissions. I watched all of the Darling videos. I watched all of the Threshold Kids videos. This thing, the lore is so intense and so lovingly crafted.
There's for sure.
There's thousands of pages. Like this thing is longer than fucking War and Peace if you read all of this stuff. And it all ties together. Like nothing that you read or watch contradicts something else that you read or watch. Everything goes together and it is a thing of beauty. It's a thing that nobody cares enough to do except for Remedy. And I'm just blown away by everything. The game being fun and also the amount of love that went into making it is outstanding. Like I literally can't say enough good things about this game.
Oh, and I just to get out of the way, the gameplay of this game is a third-person shooter. If you have a gun, you get the ability to levitate, and one of the other things that plays such a big part, you get the ability telekinesis to grab things and throw things at enemies, and you're fighting the enemy called Hiss, which we will get into.
You don't get a gun, you get a service weapon, and you don't get telekinesis, you get launch.
Well,
thank you very much.
But yes. And then as the game progresses, you get a shield, you get a few other abilities as the game goes on. Your weapon will turn into a few different, you get a shotgun version, a sniper rifle, a grenade launcher, which wasn't in the original version, and a machine gun that's terrible. So,
which is funny because I've heard a lot of people actually use spin for the speed run.
Speedrun they do, yes.
That's like the high level weapon of choice is spin.
Yeah, but speedrunners are special. You got to be a special kind of person to do what they do. Okay, like I watched enough of it. Like you don't play games, you play one game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you just learn everything there is to learn. And yeah, I'll be watching something like what goes on in the story. Like I have no idea. I haven't played a casual in years.
Well, that's also, in my humble and fantastic opinion, the actual plot of this game just kind of blows. Like everything that I love about this game is centered around all of the SCP stuff, you know? But then it's like, oh, I gotta go find Dylan. And I'm like, I don't care about that person. Like,
yeah, I can see that.
Just keep showing me weird fucking shit and cool shit, like, and not Dylan who's like, I'm mad because I was trapped in here and they tortured me and you got to be free. You know, and it's like, okay.
He's just upset because he's Lex Luthor, okay? That's why he's upset.
Oh, I can't see it now.
He looks like Lex Luthor from the terrible Batman v Superman movie, okay? Like, that's what he looks like.
Oh.
Jesse Eisenberg, yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking more of Michael Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor.
That's Smallville.
From Smallville.
That's actually a good Lex Luthor, too.
Yeah. And he looks more like that than fucking Jesse Eisenberg.
That's just what came to my head was Jesse Eisenberg.
All right, Colby, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you believe the idea that the oldest house is Yggdrasil?
Is what?
Is Yggdrasil.
Oh, the
Norse mythology world tree?
Oh, I don't... no, I don't love that one. I think that's a little bit too... Although, I do think Ati is the personification of the oldest house. That's the sort of description of Ati that I like best. He's like the heart of the oldest house.
Okay, absolutely.
He's like a god, right?
So I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, if you look up Adi on Google, there is a Finnish sea god named Adi. So of course he would be the janitor, because what does a janitor always have? A bucket of water.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm I think I've between the amount of stuff that I read and watched in the actual game and the lore stuff that I watched, I'm probably at about 50% capacity as to the lore of this game.
There's so much. Nobody can find all of it.
So much.
Yeah, I was picking up every note and everything I could find. I just wasn't reading it, but I picked up everything that was in the game just because. I do wish you got, like, you don't get experience in this game, but you do earn points that you can use to upgrade. You do get skill points, but I didn't understand how that worked.
Just complete missions.
Okay.
And it unlocks, I mean, you do level up. It's just not traditional leveling up.
Yeah.
It's just, you get.
And then you get stuff from killing enemies that you can use to upgrade your weapons.
Yes, you're upgrading your weapons, and as long as you're using your what do you call those? Like all of your upgrades, and you're keeping track of it. That's the one thing
The mods.
that irritated me about the game is like you pick up so many mods, and there's so few slots that
There's too few.
it like. After not that long, I'm like, why can't I just like choose trash all like level 1 through 3 mods because there's too much of it.
Yeah,
It's just too much.
This game's got a looter shooter feel at points, and I hate it.
Yeah, but nowhere near as bad, and thank God they didn't try to make it a live service game.
Yeah, that would have been
do
yeah.
that.
And then you have to put out a press release. Like, I don't understand what's wrong with our game and people don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
To be fair, that whole thing could also be because it is a Remedy, as we talked about a little bit earlier, it is a Remedy production along with 505. So it could be a thing where 505 was like, it'd be cool if you put like a roguelike thing in there where like you get random upgrades and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I didn't mind them. I just had they were just too many.
2 won't be that.
No.
Because Remedy did buy the rights to this from 505. They own it outright now.
Yeah, but how will the multiplayer game be? What? There's a Control multiplayer game coming out.
Oh, did they not cancel that? I thought they canceled
Did they
that.
cancel that?
I think they did.
God damn it!
Aw.
No,
It's not
that's
really
great.
to
No,
it.
that's great. Cancel all multiplayer games.
Hey, I like Suicide Squad.
I'm looking forward to getting it later this year for $10 in a humble bundle. I'm excited for that.
That's fair. One of the other things that it's funny because we talk about how there's all kinds of like Swedish and Norse mythology. I love the like names of the upgrade requirements you need for guns because it's like the whole thing where what is it? Because a bunch of Norse mythology has been coming out in the last like 5-10 years. I blame Marvel, but like all the stuff of like the house whispers and like ritual manifestations and stuff like that is also really cool to find, and the names of it's also really just sound amazing.
Okay. To go back to what Nate said, I do want to comment. He is right. Like the main story of you just trying to find your brother. I mean, I was somewhat interested, but just the lore and what's going on and where you're at is just so interesting.
What's SCP?
What, you don't know what SCP is?
Me or Mike?
It's the Secure, Contain, and Protect Foundation.
I know what it is, but like all the stuff in this game is just like SCP kind of similarity stuff, which people always find a lot more interesting than all the other goofy shit they keep trying to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in between plays of this game, because I beat this when it came out. I think I beat it a second time on PlayStation 4. My favorite part of the PlayStation 4 version is when you come out of the pause menu and it runs at about 4 seconds per frame for about 5 seconds.
But, you mean when you like twitch the camera real quick and it's kind of like blurry?
Anything you do is like so it's just really weird. I don't know if everyone was playing the like complete edition, but the old version was hilarious when you came out of the pause menu. But
it still kind of does that on PS5 for the complete edition. Like if you exit the pause menu, there's like a couple frames of slowdown.
yeah, I don't even think I noticed because I was so used to that PS4 slowdown out of the pause menu. It probably didn't even register.
I thought that was part of the game. Like I thought it was just a thing when it would happen to me, where it would just I play this in a Steam Deck. So with Steam Deck, sometimes and the fact that I can't install directly to my Steam Deck because I was a cheap bastard and bought too small of a hard drive. Like I accept it. Like sometimes when games don't run perfectly, I'm like, oh, that's because you're not playing how you should be.
Oh no, like
it just does that.
Okay,
but yeah. So the thing that I was commenting on was in between plays, I didn't even remember like the Dylan stuff because really, who cares? That is definitely not the interesting part of this game.
Well, until you talk to him,
when you
have some interesting stuff to say.
Yes,
it's just crazy.
And then there's a lot of stuff going on with Dylan, but the story, like the game story of my brother got kidnapped when we were kids because of this slide projector thing. It's just, so standard. And I think that might actually be to the game's credit because of all the weird stuff going on around it. Like you don't want to make a super weird story and have the weird stuff going on around it because that might be too much.
Yeah, the premonition, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like maybe it would have been better if, like, you finding out your brother was there, like, you didn't know Dylan was there. You know what I mean? Like, you just go into a room and you're like, wait a second, this is my brother. Like, why is my brother here?
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
like,
you do know he's there.
Well, right, but I'm saying, like, if Jessie didn't know, and then she just got pulled into this thing, and then kind of, like, slowly uncovers that, the FBC was, like, testing, like, torturing my brother, and they were also, like, following me.
Oh, you're doing
because of the slide
story. All right.
Of the slide.
Yeah, he's doing the version he wants. Which,
like, it's just the main story is so, like, I mean, we've already said it. It's just so boring to everything else that is going on in the world. It's just like, why did you even include this? Like, to have a connection between it? Like, I don't know.
You needed a motive to put her there, and having her looking for her brother because they took him all those years ago is a good motive.
Well, there was already a chance for her to end up there anyway because she is a para-utilitarian.
Yeah.
Right.
A what?
Para-utilitarian.
It's
Definition,
people who
please.
naturally
Michael...
or unnaturally have powers. And
okay.
so they have the chance to become a director of the FBC.
Okay.
Guess who else is a Palutitarian?
Oh my god, we have to.
Dylan, right?
No.
No.
You already know who he is.
I mean, but yes.
Alan Wake?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
My roommate had a theory that Alan Wake didn't actually have powers as of Alan Wake 1, and the Dark Place just fueled them more. And I was like, no, that's stupid. That's like, he doesn't have powers. And then I played Control. I just pretty much kicked in the door, and I was just like, I fucking hate you.
Well,
no.
Yeah. I mean, the power that the para-utilitarians have is to be able to use the altered items. So, like, I don't know if it's expressly in one of the documents or if it's, like, implied, but Alan Wake's typewriter is an object of power.
Yes, and the light
so
switch.
the fact that he can use and the clicker. So the fact that he can use those things shows that he's a para-utilitarian. Like, they don't innately have powers. Their power is being able to use the altered items.
Or did he create the object of power that is the typewriter? Like, that's a whole conversation that we could.
Yeah,
God, it's been a while to play Alan Wake, but didn't he did he bring the typewriter with him, or is it just there? I can't
Yes,
remember.
that's his typewriter that he wrote his books with.
Oh, fuck. Okay. God damn it.
Yeah.
Stay away from anything about a certain game that I think you want to talk about.
Yeah,
we're not going to get there yet.
Good.
Yeah, so Alice did bring his typewriter to Cauldron Lake with them.
Oh,
like,
fuck.
that was the whole thing.
Fuck me. God damn it. I'm going to go fucking jump off my roof real quick. I'll be right back.
Joe, just message me. We could have a whole conversation about this.
Oh no, there's a whole conversation I'm avoiding, which we won't get to until Alan Wake 2. But circling back to
message me, please.
Yeah, circling back to
add me to that
Wake
conversation, please.
I
What
would
is it
say I put my
saying?
headphones out, but I have to edit this, so I don't have a choice.
Circling back to the story too, I actually, I know we're joking about how the Dylan stuff. I actually really like learning about them finding the what was it? The slide projector.
Slide projector.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved finding all the files and learning about how like they were just like, oh yeah, it's just a normal slide projector, and we're just kind of kids having fun. And then it goes into like them like trapping, whether they trap like the bully in there at some point, and he ended up coming out fucked up or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Every
in the lore.
slide
In
is
the
a different portal to a different world.
Yeah, it's rules. It's so like the lore of just the slide projector is so fun. And then it made all of the adults disappear. Like that rules.
It
'cause it
did.
killed everybody but 17 people.
Yeah.
I know they said that at some point.
Oh yeah, like the entire town of Ordinary just disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful item there.
Yeah, the only
I
people
just-
left were the kids who were able to like play with the slide projector.
Oh,
Yeah, it's insane.
I would have loved to see that cutscene of just like this school bully, like, haha, the Fadens are so weird. And then he sees the most fucked up shit, and he's like, I don't want to talk about it.
The best part is keep them setting up Control 2.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
I said they could just be setting up Control 2 with this.
Oh,
I do like that as the story progresses, you find out that the reason why you're fighting the hiss is they use the slide projector at people that aren't alive anymore and summon the hiss into the building by accident. Like, I like that. And the hiss are something that takes over people, and then you have to kill them.
Yeah, living audio.
Yeah, living
Oh.
audio.
I thought that they weren't brought in by accident. I thought they snuck in because they were doing tests with the slide projector. And that's where Darling created the HRAs?
The HRA uses what Polaris is, because at one
Right.
end of
Because
the game, you break that big ore when the game tricks you, and you like, and then Polaris doesn't talk to you anymore, if I remember correctly.
yeah, but they got into the oldest house because they kept like doing tests on it, and then Darling is like, oh shit, like we are doing something awful here. And then he creates the HRAs because he realizes it's kind of too late to prevent the hiss from getting in.
He has a vision too, doesn't he, or something as well? Like, doesn't he say he's been having nightmares and that's why he's been making them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an accident that he let the hiss in. Like, that's what they do there, is they do these experiments on this stuff. So, like, I'm sure there was a point where they're like, maybe we should stop this. I don't think it's expressed, but I'm sure at some point somebody was like, maybe we should stop this. And it's like, yeah, no, this is our job. Like, the mundanity that they like treat these objects, I think,
great.
is part of the reason why it's so great. Like all of the little details, like everybody's working with these super powerful objects doing these insane things. And it's just like, oh yeah, this is my 9 to 5. I have to look at this refrigerator for 8 hours without blinking. And that's just my job. Like,
I want to shout out. I want to talk about the refrigerator right now, but I also want to shout out Matthew Peretta in his portrayal of Dr. Darling, where he's just like the most, like at the beginning of the game when you see those videos, he's so excited, he's so thrilled. He's like a science teacher, and you're like, yeah, he's making learning fun. And then at the end, he's like tattered, and he's like, I've made a huge mistake. I'm building these things.
Is he the one who
so
created
haunted.
Threshold
It's
Kids?
so good.
What, Phoebe?
Is he the one who created the Threshold Kids? Because I don't remember who actually came up with the idea.
I think it was him and Trench.
Yeah, I think the Threshold Kids were made to keep Dylan occupied and to teach him about that stuff when he's a little kid.
That makes sense.
Those
God,
are that puppet stuff that I never watched?
Yeah, the Candle Cove parodies.
Michael, you have to watch the Threshold Kids. Just look them up on YouTube and watch them. It is the craziest thing. I think all of the Threshold Kids videos are like 20 something minutes. You can carve out that time.
I could, yes. I don't know.
It is the most insane thing.
If you are a fan of analog horror, this is gonna get you.
I was gonna say, don't watch them at night because they're kind of creepy to me.
Do watch
That's the
them
whole
at night.
point.
I was gonna say, Mike, have you ever seen Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Okay, that's not a thing. It's not anything to make you watch, but it's essentially just like they're puppets, and it's like an incident where it's like, if you come across like a floating dead body, please talk to your local FBC informant. It's like just goofy shit. Like, and then there's moments where it's like, hey, look, we found this mysterious door. And the puppets will just stare into the camera for like a solid like 5 minutes. And then they'll go, yeah.
There is a wonderful thing. I forget which episode it is, but it's like they're talking to a skeleton with a doll's face like stapled to his skeleton so that he didn't scare people. And he's like, remember, you can talk to people, but don't, tell them our secrets. And then he's like, rainbows? And they're like, not secret. And then he's like, the true meaning of rainbows? Secret. It's so
That is just a skin take.
Okay, maybe I'll have to check it out. I can't guarantee anything, but maybe. I was never bored in this game, though. I will say that, never bored.
No, for Remedy's gameplay, I don't think was ever as good as it was in this game. Like, the Max Payne games have a lot of problems. I'm famously against the Alan Wake gameplay, but this game is every movement is a joy to do. Like, the flying, the launch, the service weapon, everything is just a pleasure to do.
I completely forgot you don't start the game with launch. I was watching a speed run today to get caught up. I was like, oh, you get it from a floppy disk item. I was like, I had no memory of this.
Yeah,
I just thought I had it
early.
So that brings me to like another loop around too. So you see Darling with the floppy disk, and he talks about how like they just launched like pencils. So is it work differently for everyone, or do they just not use things correctly, or is because Jesse's a director, she's able to launch like stuff like that's like 50 or 100 pounds?
It's because she's the director.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think she's just more powerful than like your normal para-utilitarian. But I think it's also very interesting because that floppy disk that you get that power from is the floppy disk that held the codes for launching the nukes during the Cold War.
That's cool.
That's why you get launch from that.
That's funny.
Like I said, every little detail is thought about, and nobody does that. And
No, it's insane what they put into this game.
Yeah,
and how much.
Yeah, everything. Everything. Like, you can find stuff about Alan Wake in the main game. You find stuff about Max Payne in the main game. There's a picture of Jesse when you get to the Panopticon, before you get to the actual place. There's a board about Jesse, and there's a picture of her with a woman who looks exactly like Beth from Quantum Break.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
Yes.
Is Beth the character that the same actress plays?
Yes.
Okay. I only know that because a YouTube video I was watching said a little bit of Quantum Break. I probably didn't want to know, but it won't stick with me.
At least one of two. Oh my god. This is one of two references to Quantum Break. And the other one is so important.
Yeah. Oh.
But sadly, you get it from Dylan.
Yes. Dylan knows a lot. Like, when he's talking about Mr. Door, like the exposition dump of things that happen in, well, I'm not going to say future games because there's only one game past that. But like the stuff that he talks about in 2019 that happened in 2023 when Alan Wake 2 comes out, like, I don't know how far in advance they've had this stuff planned out, but like the stuff in Quantum Break, the stuff in Alan Wake 1, it all comes together like it's always been the plan.
Yeah,
all of this stuff goes together.
We can spoil an extremely light thing from Quantum Break, which is there is graffiti on the walls in some places of Quantum Break that spell out AWE.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I do like that they're trying to connect all their games.
Well, I mean, there's also a bunch of goofy stuff where I think when you because I think like most of the game takes place around like a university, right?
Yes.
And
like the same town, but the first level is a university.
Yeah, but there's like people writing on like whiteboards about how like if Alan Wake's real, but Night Springs is a show, and like how is he a character in the show? Could he be a person in real life and all this stuff?
And the fake Alan Wake 2 trailer that's in Quantum Break.
Amazing.
I'm glad we're finally playing that. in November.
Yes.
I am.
I think that even though it's not Saga in that Alan Wake 2 trailer, I think that that is Quantum Break's universe's version of those two.
Yes, because we can say that a character and another character are the same person.
Yeah.
And hell, old roommate also called that Alan Wake 2 was going to come out in 2023 because of this game. Because the DLC, Mike, you played the DLC, right?
I did, yes.
Okay, so the ending of the DLC, they straight up say, hey, there's a document, but it's from the future. What year?
Yes.
Is it 2023?
It's
It is.
2023.
I thought it didn't say what year. I thought it just
It
said.
says what year. It's
Yeah.
2023.
I thought it just said it's from a future date.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
I didn't hear 2023.
Well, the document itself has.
Oh, I didn't read the document. I'm talking about the. Okay, that's why.
Yeah,
then.
no. The document says 2023 on it.
It does.
Okay, I was just talking about when you hear them, they say something about it.
So my roommate was just like, 2023. I'm like, you're fucking wrong.
Oh, I didn't know it. I didn't know it gave you a document. I thought it was just
Same.
ending cutscene and then credits.
Everything. is a
Everything
document
has a
in the game.
document.
Damn, that is awesome. How much effort
Thousands of collectibles in this game.
there are. Too many, but it's great.
Nope, not too many. Exactly the amount that there should be.
For a government agency, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. To go back to the fridge thing, that was one of the points in the game where I wanted to throw my Steam Deck a few times. Because with the fridge, you would get introduced to a boss fight. You fight the Former, which is a giant, weird-ass looking thing. It's like a giant... I don't even know how it looks like a giant tentacle with tentacles. And
I was
like
about to say, it's one of the aliens from Metal Slug 3.
I wish I understood that reference.
Yeah, it's like a worm thing with a glowing mechanical eye.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
that's
took
how
a
I
bit.
would describe it.
It took a bit for me
I'll
to get
post a
it to
picture
get
in
the hang
chat.
of it.
So Mike talked about that, so I want to go ahead and get to we bounced around. It's a good point to bounce around. I think my biggest issue with Control, there's no real final boss to this game.
That's okay though.
I know, but I feel there. I know y'all probably all did. Did you do the mirror side quest, Mike?
Oh, or I thought I was Alucard there for a little bit. Yes, I did. That's what went to my brain. Okay, when you go in, you at one point you find a mirror and you go inside the mirror, and yeah, all I could think of was Alucard from Symphony of the Night.
That
Essage.
yeah, that should have been the final boss fight. Where instead of it being a reverse Jesse, it should have been Dylan with his own firearm, and then y'all going back and forth, and him disappearing and reappearing like stronger with like better powers.
I like the
Didn't like
fact
fighting
that there's
Essage.
no final fight. Really, I mean, you just get to deal. I mean, yes, you fight things, but there's no like boss fight. And I'm okay with it in this game because some games should not have a final boss fight that do. Uncharted one, it just doesn't. So I'm okay they didn't go down that road. But I get what you mean. It would have been cool, but maybe they couldn't get it to work.
And Remedy's boss fights are not fantastic.
Yeah,
But the fights are, and that fight is tough enough without having to go through it and then fight a boss at the end.
Yeah,
And it works for the story too. Like just like everything else that Remedy does. Well, not Max Payne, but everything else that Remedy does. The story is more important. Like whatever gets the story to where it needs to go, I think is the more important part.
pretty much all the boss fights felt like they were I mean, yeah, they're mini bosses or boss fights. You can count it where it's a regular enemy that has a big health bar. I mean, I consider those more mini bosses. I consider the bosses being like the weird things like the Former or the damn clock thing that you fight with the anchor.
Oh, the anchor. That
is such a cool fight.
I think
Yes.
the anchor was the toughest fight in that game. That was the one I had the most trouble with, but it's also in one of my favorite areas in video games ever. The clocks is an amazing area. I love that place.
So before I got there, you guys kept talking to chat about the clocks. And I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? And all of a sudden I see clocks everywhere. I'm like, I think I found it.
And the way that they do it is so interesting because like when you get there, it's like there's a lot of clocks. You're like, wow, there's a lot of clocks in here, but it's not the clocks. It's just a bunch of clocks laying around. And then the further in that you go, like eventually it's just piles and piles of clocks. And again, just like everything else in this game, it's paced perfectly because this guy is like, oh, we got to go to the clocks. And she's like, what do you mean the clocks? And he's like, look, it's this place. And the reason that the clocks are there is also very interesting if you read those documents. The anchor is a thing that duplicates. So the closer you get to the anchor, that's why there's more clocks.
Okay.
Because the anchor is doing it. But yeah, that fight is ridiculous. When I played it this time for the show, I did turn on one-hit kills.
Once I understood how it worked and I had to zip between the 4 platforms and it went clockwork, then I got the hang of it. But it was brutal a few times where I was like, this is, at least it's optional. It's completely optional.
Nothing.
I don't remember what
optional.
you get from the anchor.
I don't think
I don't
you
remember.
get a power.
Okay,
Yeah, I
it's
think
completely
just get
optional. It's
ability
just a side
points.
quest.
I want to go back to starting the fridge duty quest where this guy is like, I've been here for 24 hours and my replacement hasn't shown up.
Mhm.
And then you go to Langston, who's like, he's the guy running the Panopticon. And you tell him, like, hey, is anyone going to replace, I think his name's Philip or something?
Mhm.
And Langston just kind of stares at you for a moment and he goes, oh my God, I forgot about fridge duty. And it is the single best delivered line in the whole game, because it's just like, as someone who does retail work, like there are a lot of times where I just forget a menial task because I'm doing like 1,000 other menial tasks. And to Langston, all of this is just,
Mhm.
you know, like we said, mundane.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's such a funny line.
And Langston, people talk shit on Langston. I think he's great because
Oh, I
he's just
love
like
him.
he's just like, this is my job. He's like, I come here, I do my work, and then I go home and like feed my cat. And it's so normal for him. He just, yeah, he's so good.
Just
Just
in
like
the DLC, like Jesse offers him the head of research, and he's like, "I don't want it.
Yeah.
Like I like being here." You know. Like,
Well, he's the other thing that's great about him is how like he does respect the objects. Like he knows that to some degree they're like sentient. So he's like, we have to treat these things with respect. They're not just things. And I think that's such a like cool way to look at it. I mean, he has a terrible model. I think the problem is that the people in this game sort of all look like monsters. I think Marshall is the closest to looking like a human, but everybody else like just has something off about them. And I'm really glad that they fixed that for Alan Wake 2 and the people look like people.
Well, no, it could also be because the SCP Foundation, like half of the entries, or a good amount of them, are former researchers who have had something happen to them and they become another subject of research. The place could be affecting them.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, yes, but I don't think, I think they just had a weird time because like our Erish is one of the weirdest looking human models I've ever seen. And I just think they were having a weird time with like motion capture or something.
I agree. There's something sometimes when Jessie, like, her mouth twitches or something.
Jesse's
and
mouth is weird.
It is so scary. Like,
her jaw gets like a little bit bigger than her body needs to. Her head.
I did not
needs to
notice
have.
that.
Yeah,
I
and-
always play the Steam Deck. So
And that is not the case with Courtney Hope,
yeah, that
who's gorgeous.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like,
it is something with the motion capture.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Oh,
and
good.
it is with her mouth. It's with Erish's eyes. Like I said, Marshall, I think, is the only one that looks good like a human.
Well, to go on the thing with Langston, I don't know. I noticed this because of personal reasons. He has a cleft lip scar on his face.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he has a cleft lip, which is, it's nice to see in a, like, where he's not the butt of a joke, I guess.
No,
Like,
and it's not like he has the same scar, because I have that scar. I had a cleft lip when I was a child, cleft lip palate, and I have a scar above my lip that people made fun of me in school for many, many years. And it was cool to see that, because it's like not something that you'd catch on. Most people would notice.
Yeah, he also has a comb over, which is terrible.
I just noticed cleft lip immediately. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
the comb over is because of the motion capture technology.
They do a good job of splitting up the different sections of the place, of the oldest house, and the way you go to them, and then you can use an elevator to get back there, or you find control points, which are essentially like bonfires, and you can warp around the place, which makes the game feel so good.
It also goes into a whole thing, too, where it's also really interesting because you have these other side quests, which would technically be happening in the game, because when you do beat the game, it's Jesse says that there's still hiss around.
Mm.
So you kind of get, during you're playing, you get like random, like, oh, there's more hiss in one area than there needs to be. You need to go take care of that real quick.
Yeah,
And
the bureau alerts I never did. Yes.
Yeah.
The control points also have a very interesting backstory. They're the points that, because the oldest house keeps changing, the control points are the things that like anchor it to reality to keep it the same. So when the hiss come in, it messes up something about the control points. So since Jessie can purify them, she's the one who gets the oldest house back to like a stable state.
Yeah, and isn't that a security feature for it to become non-Euclidean again once a security threat happens?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because everyone is kind of confused when Jesse shows up. They're like, "We're in lockdown. Like, how did you get in?"
Yeah.
How did she get in?
Everybody is connected to the house. So as soon as she picks up the service gun, everybody starts calling her director.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because only the director can use that. That's why I don't think it would have been a good idea to do a Dylan fight, because there's only the one service weapon. Like, I think if they would have given Dylan his own service weapon, that would have been like cutting the importance of that object.
Yeah, that it's one of a kind.
I feel like the service weapon is Dylan's weapon, though, because there's a moment in the game, it's in the beginning, whenever you meet the guy down below for security, and he looks at it and he goes, "Hey, is that the service weapon?" And Jesse's like, "Yeah, why?" And he makes a comment where it's like, "That's weird. That's totally not the service weapon that Trench has." So that was kind of my big, like, also like a big cool moment that I liked in the game too, where it's revealed that that's why Trent shot himself, was because it wasn't him shooting himself, it was Dylan taking over. So in a sense, yeah, Dylan created the service weapon to make it look like a gun.
Oh,
The service weapon is different for everyone. They do say that as well.
yeah, that's why it used to be Excalibur and Mjolnir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
it
cool.
takes the form of whatever. And there is also a theory that Dylan and Jesse are the same person.
Ooh.
Yep, I've heard that one before.
I don't like that theory.
So
I don't like that theory either.
Like, I don't love it, but it would explain why Trench got shot with that service weapon. Because if Dylan turned it into that gun, then that would mean that Jesse also turned it into that same thing.
Are they twins?
They are twins.
They are
And
twins,
that makes perfect
yes.
sense. Twins do have a bond.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
Yeah, so I mean, that's all explained as long as you're insane and reading, hundreds and hundreds of pages.
But it's cool that it's there, and it's cool that you don't need it. Like, even just the way I was playing this game without any of that, and just the normal cutscenes, the conversations, talking with a few people here and there that you're introduced throughout the game, I still had an amazing time and enjoyed the mysterious story without digging into the rabbit hole.
Yeah. And I do wish that the radio stuff and the recordings would play while you're moving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I did spend way too much time standing around listening to these broadcasts and like these interviews.
Bothered me too.
Yeah, it's not great.
I also played most of this game blind. Like, I didn't use a guide, which is unlike me. Like, I didn't even know how many chapters were in this game at first until near the end. I'm like, I need to figure this out because I need to move on.
Yeah.
That also turned me off too, by the way, as well, which I wanted to know. Who has their phone out right now?
Me.
Go Google how many missions are in Control, because when I first started this, I decided to do that to see how far along I went. And when you Google it, it brings up 45 missions. So I go, I don't want to play this, especially whenever you beat a mission, it goes, good job beating mission 7. And it's like, oh.
What the hell?
Oh,
Troll
they're
has
talking about all, like,
missions
the...
total,
Yeah, I get it.
One mission exclusive to the PlayStation version.
Yeah, made by Kojima.
What?
PS4
Yeah.
if you have the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I have to buy the game again.
And then that brings me to a whole loop around, which me and Phoebe argue about a lot. Text Phoebe a lot.
I can see that bothering you, Joe. Like, that would have bothered me too had I Googled that. I didn't Google nothing. Like, I went in this game completely blind, and then I could just kind of tell, like, that I was getting farther in the story to where I'm like, yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah, you can tell. That Kojima mission is... I'm not a huge fan of Kojima or his games. I think he's a little bit more up his own ass than I'm comfortable with. But that mission is kind of fun, and he is in it.
So what's the Kojimbo mission?
The what?
I just call him Kojimbo at this point. What's the Kojima mission?
I don't
It's
remember
where
the name of it.
It's where you find out that Quiet is dressed like that because of photosynthesis.
Wait, hold on.
And you find out she's
Don't
an
believe what
object
you
of
say.
power.
Like, what? Is this actually a thing?
No,
No.
I'm being
I should really play Metal Gear Solid 5 one day.
Listen, if this was
You
Yoko
don't-
Taro, I'd absolutely believe you.
You don't have to play it, Mike.
I do. I played almost every other Metal Gear game. I should play it.
You should just let Metal Gear Solid 4 be the end of that series for you.
I like
You should
Metal
play
Gear
5,
Solid
it's good.
5.
The gameplay is great.
Yeah,
I need to play Peace Walker, I need to play Portal WAP someday, and I need to play Metal Gear Solid 5.
You know,
You have to play
Playground
Survive.
Zeroes. Playground Zeroes. And
I
I'd be
have.
like, wow, that was a great Metal Gear Solid 5.
You don't need to play any Metal Gear games.
I like the series, and that was one of the series I want to complete for this show, but it's very, very slowly happening.
Don't say the word complete. That means you have to play Survive and the Acid games.
Acid is actually on the schedule, and I have
Yeah,
a
it
guest. So I own a
And it's
copy
you,
of it
Phoebe.
behind me. I've been wanting to play that game since 2005 or whenever the hell it came out, 06. Whenever that game came out, I've been wanting to play Metal Gear Acid since then. So look what you did, Phoebe.
Haha, now you have to be on the Metal Gear Acid episode.
I mean, play them so. I
So
play 1 and 5.
there's one huge thing I want to talk about, and we're kind of been hopping around, and it's about the Alan Wake DLC, the Alan Wake experience, or
Yes.
the Alan Wake event, which
We can talk about that now.
Yeah,
A to B.
Alter World event. So they bring it up in the main game, and I feel like it's a retcon. And I keep telling Phoebe about it, and we keep arguing about it, which is funny. Did they retcon that Thomas Zane was a director and not originally a poet?
Yes.
Yes.
No, he's...
No, that's a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
We'll get
he's,
there.
He's called Thomas Zane the poet because of a movie he made. But
No,
he's
in the
always
first
been a
game,
director.
He's a fucking poet.
He is
Yeah.
a poet, and
The books and shit that he wrote.
But
and-
like
Be careful what you're saying.
in
I
the
don't want to
beginning-
hear things that involve something else.
in the beginning of this game, Jesse quotes a Thomas Zane poem
Yes.
to
I caught
Emily. Emily, I think, is the one that she says it to.
Yes.
And then she's like, I've never heard of this person, because in Alan Wake 1, no spoilers, his whole thing, when he tries to write himself out of the dark place, all of his stuff, all of his poems get erased. And there's a different Thomas Zane. And that's the Thomas Zane who's the filmmaker. But the Thomas Zane that Alan Wake talks to is the poet. And somehow Jesse remembers Thomas Zane's poems, even though they've been erased from history, which is another thing tying Alan Wake to Control.
And is that how they try to go with it? Is they're like, oh, you must mean Thomas Zane, a director, where he played a poet, and everyone's like, oh, I guess it's like some kind of Mandela effect or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. But
Okay,
in
that
reality,
makes sense.
But in reality, Zane wrote himself out of history. The actual man, the actual poet, wrote himself out of history and
Okay.
replaced him with a different
retcons.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So the fact that Jesse remembers Thomas Zane's poems also means something.
I did smile when I mentioned Thomas Zane, because I like Alan Wake a lot.
If you would have read some documents, you would have seen a lot of Alan Wake stuff.
I picked up some that said something about Bright Falls and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Then
Yes.
that scene when the Alan Wake DLC started, and all of a sudden he just started talking, I was like, I knew it was in this game. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Like, I got all excited.
This game even confirms that the thermoses are objects of power.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
There is
Yeah.
a thermos in the Panopticon.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
if you read the document about that, it's like it keeps beverages hot for like a strangely long amount of time, and it also makes the coffee taste better. Like even if you put crappy coffee in there, when you pour it out of the thermos, it's good. It's good coffee. Which I'm like, first of all, why are they doing this? But second of all, I love that they're doing
Because
That's
sometimes
cool.
you
And
just need a silly safe.
It's even in like a little broken off piece of the Panopticon. Like you have to do some platforming, I think, to get there.
There's so
That's
much
cool.
hidden shit in this game.
Yeah, like which is because I did not see that back in 2020, but like I found it this time, and I either asked the group or I Googled it because I was like, was this in the original like just base game? Which it turns out it was,
That's cool.
which is
So-
amazing. Yeah.
So
The-
much hidden stuff. Like, did anybody find the 2 hidden music rooms?
No.
I know I found one.
Yeah, I found both because I needed the ability points for the platinum.
I'm so
I'm-
sorry that you found both of them.
I'm
Oh,
sure
no.
I found both, but I only remember one.
Yeah, because it's the one that matters. I'm assuming
Yeah.
you remember my
Yep.
dark disquiet.
I do in the Alan Wake DLC, Langston is talking about like fighting the dark with light, and he mentions, let me pull it up. I think I wrote it down on my phone. You know what's good for podcasting? Dead air.
Hey,
Don't worry, there won't be any by the time people hear it. So.
I have a joke. Hey guys, I peed in this thermos and mixed it with coffee. Who wants to see if it tastes better?
That is something that the SCP Foundation would do.
Yeah, they
it's something
absolutely-
Is that
totally
was
do
was
that.
that in
Would do.
Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like
It was, yeah.
Hey
Was it meant to be? I
guys.
don't know, but it was.
Hey guys.
Put
my- in the
coffee.
All right, I found it. So when you're talking to Langston and he's talking about Hartman, he asks Jessie if she has a flashlight, a lantern, or a headlamp.
Yes.
And then he gets super excited
Yes.
and he goes, "Oh, Christmas lights! You
Yes.
could." And then Jesse
yeah.
cuts him off.
Yep.
And that's like exactly what Barry does in Alan Wake 1. Is just
My
wraps himself in
flaming
Christmas
eye of
lights.
Mordor.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, Barry's the
Ah.
best.
Barry
I
is
was
the best.
I was laughing so hard. I was like, man, that's such a good callback.
So we're
That
we're
was.
gonna go on the whole Alan Wake tangent now because of this as well. So was Hartman always a bastard in the first game?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
because
Yeah, I
You
thought
not
it
played
was-
one, Joe?
I played one. I haven't played one in forever. I played it when
I'll
it first
change
came
that.
out. Yeah, and I have the remaster, which my husband wanted me to play before 2 came out, but we never got around to it. But funny enough, like in the first 5 minutes of it, my husband's like, man, that psychiatrist fucking sucks. I'm like, I know, right?
Yeah, he
You know, he's a
has
shitty
always
person.
Sucked.
Yeah, he sucks.
Because
That-
he's known about the power of the lake since he first created the lodge.
Is he the one that made them go out there then on the
I
lake?
don't know if he's the one who makes them. No, because they get the key to the lodge from Barbara Yeager
Yeah.
directly in the diner.
Okay.
But like his lodge is a psychiatric place, and that's where Tor and Odin are. That's
Yeah.
where I think Zane actually spent some time.
And
Yes, and he uses what they do and then creates stuff from with their as them being connected to the world of creativity.
yes, yeah, he steals their art to
Yes.
to access, like have a little bit of access, because he doesn't have that. Like he doesn't have that himself, so he surrounds himself with the artists to get a piece of it, which
Yeah.
I think is, you know, some sort of I'm trying to think of a word and I'm
Scummy?
having a hard time. No, well, yes, but but it's like a commentary on people
Oh.
like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything in these games is a commentary on something.
Yeah, he's just seeing him as a monster though was fucking freaky. And that Alan Wake DLC was so damn hard when you had to fight Hartman. Like I wouldn't have gotten through it, I don't think, without the immortality.
Same.
It was bad.
I love that monster design. Like, it is so scary and so cool looking at the same time.
It's just the fights are too hard because, like, with him, if you go in the darkness too long, he comes after you and he just starts draining your health, and it's just ridiculous. And I couldn't fucking see shit.
Oh wow! I just looked this up.
Yeah, but you can just turn on one hit kills
That's
because you
right.
said it was really hard, so I just turned on one hit kill.
Yeah, I
'Cause I'm just
tried.
gonna go.
And after I died like 10 times in one part and never got more than halfway, where you had to open up these 4 generators and grab the generators. And most I could ever get was 2 before he killed me, and I'm like, fuck this.
Oh,
So yeah,
yeah. I mean, I can see that being hard, but I think at that point I was just so dialed in on what this game was that I was just like, yeah, let's do this. And then if this happens, I can do this. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not like great at games, but the games that I really get dialed into, I'm like, I can think, 3 steps ahead of what the game is thinking. And that's sort of what you had to do there.
Yeah, and I'm fine with DLC being harder because a normal person, when you play DLC, you be playing it, you already played the game, you probably already beat the game, and then it gives you a reason to come back to it. But for a player like me who's doing everything at once because I wait years, the game itself felt perfectly balanced. When I got to the DLC, I was just getting bored and ready to be done. And again, that's not the DLC problem. That's a me problem.
Yeah, I think that's right, because Control is a pretty big game, like 30-ish hours. More than that if you want to do all the stuff that I did. But yeah, and then the DLC was months and months afterwards. So yeah, that's right. If you're doing it at the same time, I could see it being a lot.
I did almost all the side quests in the main game, and then I did all the artifact stuff in the DLC, like in the Alan Wake one had the one where you go after a camera and you ride a train.
Oh, Jesse Faden starring in, what is the name of that?
It's fucking great.
Jesse
Did you do that
Faden,
one, Nate?
Let me Google.
Where you go into the train and you listen to it crash and you have to put it in order.
That was good too, but there's actually one where you ride a train car and are chasing after a camera.
I don't think I did that one.
It's like an action movie.
It's called Jesse Faden starring in Swift Platform.
Yeah, look it up.
It's so good.
I did not do
It's
this.
so good.
That's in the Alan Wake DLC?
Yeah, it's in the Alan Wake.
I thought I did all the side stuff. I thought I did all the side missions in that because I was more invested in that than in Foundation.
And there is a trophy for that mission, to do that mission.
Yeah, I did that, and I got a lot of achievements or Steam achievements.
Yeah. It's great.
I don't care about, but yeah. I don't care about that. I just play the game. I was happy. The
only reason I said it was because that's an easy way to know if you did it or not.
Oh, good point. Good point.
I did not do it then.
Okay.
You should. You definitely should. It's really cool.
It's short and it's fun.
The train was cool too. We had to piece together how people died on this train or how it all happened in order.
I liked that because it was kind of once again, it's what I love about this game is it was unnerving and kind of cool, and I just want more of that in Control 2. Just give me weird shit.
Yeah,
I think
I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's talking about the other DLC.
We will next. We're just
yeah. I think in the Alan Wake, the one that stuck out, and I can't believe nobody said anything about it, was Gerbil took the top head.
Oh my god, yes.
That was so. Gerbil took the top head.
I didn't play any of the DLCs. What does that mean?
The head.
I'm also confused.
There is a recreation of the moon landing, and in a cell next to it, there's an alien it's an empty spacesuit. You never see this thing. It's in a document, but it knows human words, but it doesn't know how to put them together into sentences. So you go over and talk to it, and it says, Gerbil took the top head. And Jesse's like, what? And then he just sort of he gets very upset because he's trying to tell Jesse what he needs, but he can't express it correctly. So it's not a big deal.
Talking to a 2-year-old.
Yes. And you go around and you bring him all of this stuff until you figure out what he finally wants. But yeah, it's like an alien who's, again, you never see him, but he's an empty spacesuit. And
I like that too, because the document of it is 3 astronauts went up to space and they came back and there was 4 of them.
Yep.
And the alien has convinced them that there's always been 4.
Yep.
So the astronauts, they're getting questioned by NASA basically. And they're like, no, there's 4 of us. Like, there's always been 4 of us. We just don't know his name or anything. Like,
Yeah.
about it. But there's always been 4. And it reminded me of this movie, which I'm blanking on the name now, but it's like kind of a psychological thriller where like some astronauts come back from space and an alien has assimilated into is like one of the husbands. And the wife is like, that's not my husband. And everyone is like, no, that's your husband.
Oh, fuck.
I don't remember, but it was like it reminded me of that movie, and I haven't thought of that movie in years. And I was like, that was a really
like
good
Annihilation, and it's not.
No, it's like a '90s movie.
Oh,
I think it's the astronaut's wife. I'm gonna look it up here.
But just in case anybody's like, oh, does that mean that the FBC faked the moon landing? It's not. They just recreated it just like they did with Ordinary, just like they did with Bright Falls. It's just a recreation.
I just found it funny.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that was conspiracy theory till high school when I had some government class and somebody had to do a presentation.
Yeah.
And his presentation was they faked the moon landing. I was like,
yeah. The game is not saying that the moon landing was faked.
yeah. In the Area 51 game for PS2, there is an early level you go to as a fake moon landing, but
Yeah.
no one ever played that game. So,
There's a funny show called Toast of London with Matt Berry, and he plays like this failing actor. And in one of the episodes, he lets slip that he was there when Steven Spielberg filmed the moon landing. And then like the whole episode has
Kubrick.
Oh, maybe it was Stanley Kubrick. Yeah,
it'd be Kubrick. Yeah.
The whole episode revolves around like the CIA trying to kill him, and he just like keeps like passing them, but they don't know what he looks like, so they keep killing like random civilians. You know?
Yeah, that sounds like a Matt Berry show.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Last thing about the Alan Wake DLC, because the main thing is you just have that scene at the end where like, this is from the future. But it's cool. It's just very challenging. The Foundation DLC is fine.
I do want to say about the Alan Wake DLC, the Hartman monster design is the coolest shit ever. Like, it's one of the best looking monsters I've ever seen. And that fight with him is intense.
It's a pretty cool fight.
The fight is great.
I also like how you don't see it until that final fight. Like, he's always in darkness, and then I even tried to go in photo mode, and they have like this blur effect around him.
Yeah, there is. I mean, in that part that Mike was talking about, where you have to get the generators and turn the lights on, he's a little bit more present there, and you can see him a little bit better. But this is the first time you get a good look at him. That's all. I just wanted to shout out how good that monster design was.
Also, everyone needs to put a pin in this. Mike, whenever we do Alan Wake 2 and you beat Alan Wake 2, you're going to go back and redo this DLC, because there are things that happen in this that redo loop around and that are important.
Oh, there are things.
Oh, crap.
Okay.
I play the DLC now.
No.
You should play it, Phoebe. You definitely should if you haven't.
No. We all know. I'll text Phoebe what it is, but they're like a lot of it's all very much important, and like it's even weirder because we played this and I played Alan Wake 2 obviously before this, and I'm like pointing at stuff and my husband's pointing at stuff and I'm just like, oh.
It definitely got me more excited for Alan Wake 2, which is in July. I need to buy that game still.
To do that,
I'm waiting for a sale.
you should give them all your money.
You're not going to find a good sale before then. The game's too popular and too good, and you should give Control all of your or you should give Remedy all of your money.
Considering they still haven't made $1 from it, you should give them your money.
I don't know. I bought that game a month after it came out, and then in December, the deluxe edition went on sale for the price I paid for the standard, and I was like, dang, if I had just waited one more month.
Yeah, give them your money so that they can buy the rights to Quantum Break back, so that they can make a sequel that'll do that idea justice.
Because they have the rights to Alan Wake, don't they now?
They have the rights to Alan Wake, and they have the rights to Control.
Yeah.
Microsoft still owns Quantum Break, and
Rockstar still has Max Payne.
Rockstar has Max Payne, and they did my boy dirty in that third game.
Hey, at least Alex Casey out of it.
I would love to get an Alex Casey game where he has bullet time and stuff. Like, that would make up for what they did to my boy.
Really awesome.
And to talk about the Foundation DLC, it wasn't bad. I was burned out by the time I played it, but it wasn't bad. Like, it's kind of cool that you have like this mission after you finish the game, where you have to go underneath into the foundation of the house.
I think this DLC is fantastic.
It's good.
I'm a big fan of like the whole thing. Like, this is the again, this is the foundation of the old house. This is what everything is built off of. This is, the base of the pyramid. And, we have these nails. I think the fact that it's just like dusty, it's just like that red sort of like Mars dust, I think that could have been better. I think it would have been interesting. It would have been more interesting for people if it would have looked more interesting, but it's kind of dull looking. But the powers that you get from it with the crystals make platforming really fun. I think the lore of being where the old house sprouts from is very interesting. And also the boss fight of this DLC, like, actually had me, having emotions. I'm like, I do not want to fight this boss.
What is it?
It's the
It's
woman.
it's his
Marshall.
Marshall.
It's Marshall.
Oh,
You have to fight Marshall, and it sucks. It made me feel so. I'm like, I don't want to, because I am I'm the type of person who's like, let's get this shit done. And a lot of people think that I'm like a dick because of it, but sometimes you need to get something done, and that's what Marshall is. So I identified with Marshall a lot in the game. So when she goes missing and then you get the call from her on the hotline, I'm like, fuck, no. And then you actually have to fight her. And it's so rough. I was like, God damn it. The one character that I identified with in this game. I love all of these characters, but Marshall was the one that I glommed onto because she's gruff, but also you could tell that she cared about her squad and her people and the FBC in general. Yeah. And that's how I just identified with that. And then to see her, hiss possessed, she starts doing the thing, which we didn't say it. The hiss, the incantation, the thing that they say, written by Alan Wake.
Oh,
it's a poem written by Alan Wake.
That's cool.
God damn it.
He did it because again, a document. He's talking about how after he met Zane, he tried poetry. So he did one of those poems where he put the words in the hat, and that's why it doesn't make any sense.
God,
it was an avant-garde poem that Alan Wake wrote, and the hiss got that in. I don't think they specifically come from the dark place, but the dark place is attached to where the hiss come from. So they got that from this poem that Alan Wake wrote before he went into the dark place.
I was gonna say the dark place is attached to everything at this point.
Yeah, and in that Alan Wake DLC, Hartman, the reason he's so messed up is because he has the darkness and the hiss. He has both.
Oh, that's cool.
That's why he's so messed up.
And it goes even further than that, because I think one of the things that I think Jesse says there's something, or maybe Alan says it at some point with the document, but I think it's real interesting that they confirmed that the darkness involves sight, and then the hisses and obviously involve sound. So
yes.
So we might end up having a third. Was it? There's a speak no evil, hear no evil.
Yes,
see no evil.
It's called the Blessed, if I remember correctly. There is a thing about it. They're called the Blessed. So that's what people are saying that Control 2 is going to be fighting.
Hey, on that note, how the board always has dual meanings when they're talking to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What if that's part of the speak no evil? Because the Foundation kind of sets up that Marshall didn't trust the board, and Jesse is I shouldn't trust the board either. Which makes sense because they only want you to have one of those powers in the Foundation, and then the former shows up.
Yes.
And he's not violent. He's just trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
And he gives you the other power, and the board is super against it. But then
yeah.
after you get it and like use it, they're like fine, we'll allow you to have this.
Yeah.
Well, look, I was gonna say, even in the base game, the board is kind of iffy on where their morality and where their allegiances are.
What
of
the
course
hell
they
is
want
the board?
you,
Well,
but do they want you to be the director, or do they want you to be their puppet?
I don't think it's in the foundation, but when you get one of the powers, they say, please accept this gift / allow.
Mhm.
You know, like they're like, we're letting you use this, but like it's always just kind of a reminder of just like, we can take this away though.
Yeah, the board is on the side of the board. Whatever whatever the board needs, that's what they don't care about. And I heard your question, Mike. I don't know what the board is. I don't think that they're a part of the oldest house. I think that they have more to do with the bureau than with the house itself. I think Ati is the house and the board is the FBC.
Okay.
That's what I think.
They're only in the astral plane that you go through a bunch in this game too.
But we never
Yes.
actually see them. Like, we see the former, but we
Yeah.
never actually see what the board is besides the upside down.
Just the pyramid.
Yeah. So,
Wait,
I mean, they could be from the dark place. They could be where the hiss comes from. They could be where the blessed are. They could also be, since we do have a pyramid, a triangle, it could be one of each.
Okay.
I just came up with that just now.
It makes sense though.
It's been a long time, but isn't there even a point in the base game where there's a cutscene with them and they say something along the lines of "Don't do that again"? And they say in like a very
They say that to you kind of a lot.
and
They're
even though you can't tell what they're saying because it's a bunch of just warbling noises and
Yeah.
shit.
which I
Has
love the
a
sound
very
design.
mean feeling to it.
I think
Yeah.
they don't like. I think that they're used to people that they can manipulate a little bit more. I think they don't love Jessie because she's a little bit stronger willed than most of their directors. That's what it seems like, because they do get annoyed with Jessie. And since you don't ever like hear them talk to another director, you don't know if that's the way they always are, but they do get annoyed at Jessie a lot. And I think it's because they're not used to somebody like fighting them on stuff. I think they're used to people just sort of doing what they say.
Well, I mean, she's had
So-
practice. She's had Polaris for years.
Yeah, I think that's
I was
the
about
difference.
I was about to say, I wonder if it's something where because she has Polaris, they can't control her as much or like tell her what to do or what, like what powers she can have. So she's going around and like possessing all of these, powers from the objects of power. And, they're probably growing concerned. It's just like, hey, why can't we tell her not to do that? Like she keeps, she finds the floppy disk and then she's in the astral plane with us. And then she finds I think it's the flamingo you get the shield from, or whoever you get the merry-go-round. So it's probably concerning to them that she's just showing up in the astral plane and they can't really push her out.
Yeah, and again, you don't know much about most of the former directors, but I don't know that any of them could do all of those things. I don't know if they could all, fly and launch and shield and do all of that stuff.
Well, it sounds like a lot of the directors just had one thing. Like, Northmore was heat. I honestly don't know what his power was. But then it sounds like Trench was more like he was the one who was pushing the board to do like experiments on objects of power instead of just like holding them.
A fun little thing about Trench, he's always smoking. He has a cigarette from the ashtray that the maze is based off of. He's always smoking the same cigarette.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Infinite
How have
cigarette.
we not talked about the ashtray maze yet?
Purposely.
Well, if we're gonna get into areas, like I said, I love the clocks, but there's an area that I think is not more fun than the ashtray maze, but like my jaw dropped when I went in there, and it's before you go into the Panopticon. There's like sort of a hallway that's just full of filing cabinets. and it looks very normal when you go in. And then the further in you get, it like twists and it gets shorter, and it's
spiraling one.
It's like non-Euclidean filing area, and I was like blown away.
Oh yeah,
by this area.
Because when you've been doing this for so long, of course you have to make your filing area big. Also compact.
It's insane. It's insane the amount of detail that goes into these places. There's a place in the Alan Wake DLC that like abandoned offices, and there's just an area where like the couch and a painting and a filing cabinet and I think a door are just multiplying and just like floating away from each other.
Okay.
And I'll go to that control point and just like stand there and watch it do it. I think it's so fun.
See, I love the ocean view. The
What
motel.
the hell was the Ocean View Motel?
I want to talk about the fucking technical wizardry that Remedy had, even on the PS4, where there were no load times between pulling that switch and being transported to the Ocean View. Like, what the fuck kind of sorcery is that?
What was it?
Like,
Was
for
it
the
real?
PS4 to be able
that's
to
a real
do
one.
that?
Oh, yeah, it's real.
They get better at it too, because Mike doesn't know, but they're the whole like switching between with the Saga.
Mike
But,
doesn't
like-
like things you're saying right now.
But like, if that was like, to me, that is like the power of the PS5, is like that
Yeah.
instantaneous loading.
Yeah.
But like on the PlayStation 4, where I was pulling this light switch cord 3 times and then just being instantly transported like to a new environment, that I'm like, how did you do this? Like, just tell me how. Just give me one behind the scenes video.
Light switch.
I think it's because the motel is a very small area, because 2 of the doors don't open at all. There's only the 4 rooms that open, and they're all the same room. I think that's the magic, is that it's the desk, the lobby, the hallway, and 4 identical rooms. And that's really all it is. So when it loads, it's not loading, an entire environment. So I think that's the technical magic. But yeah, the ocean view is really cool and so important to the story, because we have that one room that we know Alan Wake is behind. Like, we know that one of those rooms goes to the dark place, because he gets that note out underneath the door to get to Jesse.
Don't you go in there
The
to
spiral
get
room,
to the
yes.
Alan Wake DLC?
No.
I
You
thought
don't
that was
go
connected.
Yeah, you don't go through that door, because that door goes to, I'm assuming, the dark place. But no,
I have
go
my
back
own
to the old
theories
As
on it.
I'll
'Cause-
text you something real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna text you, Colby, and tell you something.
Okay.
too.
I thought you went through that door too. I was expecting that was going to happen, then it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Well,
that door never opens, and the one next to it never opens.
Yeah, none of those doors open, which I'm assuming they're waiting for the sequel or in other games as well to actually explore what those doors are.
I'm excited for a sequel.
I can't wait for the sequel to this game.
So there's 2 things we haven't talked about yet. We'll finish the ending or the endings, but we should talk about the Ashtrays maze that I've been purposely waiting on.
Oh, that makes sense, Phoebe. I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to you.
That's okay. But the Ashtray maze, which
That's me,
I
Phoebe.
did not realize how many people love that thing. So you see it earlier, and I tried to go in it, and Trent's like, you can't go this way right now, and then nothing happens. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm playing the game, and then I get to the point where I need to go there, and just how the walls start moving, and they start playing that Pose to the Fall song, and I'm just like, yeah, this is pretty good.
Control.
Yeah.
That's not Poet to the Fall, Mike.
It's not?
Yeah, that's all Guards of Asgard.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all
the old Guards of Asgard.
Yeah.
Never mind. It sounded like
You
Pose to the Fall,
knew.
but hey, it's been a while.
No, that's the joke, Mike. That's Poets of the Fall, but they're they made an album pretending to be the old Gods of Asgard, and it sold more than all their albums combined.
I like their song that they have a song they did for Alan Wake 1. They have a music video of it with Alan Wake in it. Fucking great.
Oh my God.
I love that.
I was
Mike.
gonna say, that could be Poe and the Muse or War or any other number of songs.
Yeah.
Oh,
The Muse one.
wait until you see the music stuff in 2.
Hey, 2 will be this year. A few months. July.
Listen,
not
that far away.
only the thing, but also like the one battle where they're playing. That's also amazing.
okay, we're
So-
not spoiling this.
We're not
Yeah.
spoiling it.
But
So,
Children of the Elder God, how do you possibly top that? And Control pulled it off. Now ask yourself, how could they possibly top the Ashtray Maze?
And they did in Control because the Ashtray Maze is mid, and then Dr. Darling shows up and sings Dynamite, and you go, "This is the best game."
I didn't watch that in the game, but I watched it later.
And oh my god, fucking when he takes his shirt off, that's not during that, I don't think.
I don't
No,
think
it's
so.
a different one.
But he's so jacked. He's so
Yeah,
hot. I
He's
can't
so
believe it.
fucking ripped.
That's because he's an actual actor.
I know,
I like
but
the voices. It's the Alan Wake voice. The actor
yeah,
did Alan
yeah.
Wake's voice.
Well, yeah, he's the Alan Wake voice actor.
yes, he is the Alan Wake's voice actor and nothing more.
Oh my god.
And
I don't like where these conversations are going.
and man, I didn't expect it because I don't know if it's that like mustache or what, but I was not expecting him to look like that when he takes that shirt off. And I was like, yes.
Look, you're just avoiding the question. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. That man is fuckable. I don't care what anybody
Oh my
says.
God.
Joe.
Nobody has ever questioned that. Nobody ever said anything contrary to that.
Mike, here's the good news and the bad news. The good news is you're almost there. But the bad news is since when we get there, that podcast is going to be like 5 hours long.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, we're 2 hours in here, and I mean, I have 2 more hours worth of stuff.
we aren't gonna
like,
go that
for-
long. But yeah.
For Alan Wake 2 specifically, we need to do that at like noon Eastern because
Yes.
I have so many thoughts, and like after our Alan Wake American Nightmare, we talked about Alan Wake 2 for like another 2 hours.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
I blew I would just like to say I blew Colby and Phoebe's, and I think Joe, you were there too,
I was there.
about a detail. I blew
After I
everybody's
ended
mind.
after I left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
was clapping.
We were here for like an hour and a half long.
yeah, it was so long.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh my
I'm
God.
very excited to play Alan Wake 2, and this game made me much more excited to play it.
Yeah, I love the story of Alan Wake 1. Again, I'm not going to dwell on it. I thought the gameplay was, mid. I thought the story was great. And then this gave me a different kind of story with a fun gameplay. And then Alan Wake is a totally different game from both of them, but they fucking nail it. Like, Remedy can do no wrong. And the fact that I think it's just the fact that they care as much as they do. I think that's the factor. Like they're gonna put the stuff out. They're like From Software. They're gonna put the stuff out when it comes out, and it's gonna be done and it's gonna be good. And
Well, I think-
sometimes you're just gonna have to wait for it.
I think the thing is too is that it all has like a unified vision,
even
instead of like people meddling in. I mean, I don't want to dump on Suicide Squad because I haven't played it, but it's like, oh hey, we want to make a 4-player superhero game, and it's like, okay, we'll make it live service, make it this, make it that, where it's like Sam Lake comes in and he goes, okay, I want to make a 3rd-person action game where you're exploring like a house that transforms. And no one is coming to him and saying, like, I think that's too weird. You need to change it. I think that's why it succeeds so much here. And especially in Alan Wake 2, where it's like, it's just one person kind of at the helm,
Mm-hmm.
saying, like, this is what, I want to do. And this is what we want to do. And we're just going to make it. And then if it fails, it fails, Like,
and we talked about it in American Nightmare, because that was originally supposed to be Alan Wake 2. And a lot of companies would have just pushed that out. But Sam Lake in interviews said, like, it just wasn't coming together the way we wanted it to. So we didn't put it out. Like, a lot of companies would have just been like, we're going to have to make this work. But Remedy's just like, nope, we're going to scrap it. We're going to wait until it feels right to do it before we do it.
I don't know.
No, that was it.
I was gonna say, I don't know. I've seen that Alan Wake 2 beta stuff, and I kind of wish we kind of got that a little bit more. But I'm also fine with what we got for Alan Wake 2.
I'm more than fine with what we got for Alan Wake 2.
Okay. We should talk about the ending of Control. We haven't talked about that. All of it. The fact that it does that. The fact that this game tricks you, where you end up getting to where Polaris is.
Yes.
The game has credits, and then when the game comes back after everything gets garbled, you end up as an office worker at the FBC. That was fucking hilarious.
That fake out with the credits just slowly becoming more and more leaky is so perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, Dylan says it when you're talking to him. He's like, I had a dream where I was the director and you were an office assistant. And that was like 4 hours ago in the game. And then it comes through. Yeah.
I just love that the fact that you keep talking to him, you don't even have to do that. And he's got 6 different 3-minute long dialogues, and all of them tell you something.
Yep, and he's going through and he's talking about Mr. Door and the different dimension, like the different realities and everything. Like, he's going for it. And that's why I said, all of this stuff is connected between different games and this game, because that the whole office assistant is, he told you that was like what he thought of, like that was what he dreamed about. And I don't know if it's if they expressly said it that he's the director during that segment.
It's been a long time, but
I kind of feel like that's the case, is that when you're the office assistant, he's the director.
And the fact that the game just makes you do all these mundane things, like get somebody coffee, file stuff.
Dude,
I did coffee mugs.
I did so many of those. Same. And then I realized that to progress, I had to go talk to the director. And I was like, fuck.
I kind of wish that it didn't make you do so much of it, because this segment,
have to do one of them. I think 1 or 2 of them you have to do, and that's it. You can just scan copies.
I think you have to do at least one, and then you have to go take the paper to trench, and then that's what
then you
pushes it forward.
Because the speedrunners just scan papers real quick because that's the fastest. Then they grab the mail before it even drops, and then they go do that.
God, kill for that job right now. Shit, you're not.
I know. You wouldn't be able to walk around a game store and clean. So, and Phoebe, I was going to say, why didn't you have time to play this game? But I mean, you just got to tell your job you don't want to do 7 days a week, and you got to play. You got to have a life.
Because I was also recording other games for a channel and streaming and editing videos. And
yes.
I just have to make the work joke.
I'm just trying to figure out how to set up some other stuff, which you know about.
Yes.
Because at the time of this recording, there is totally not another game that I'm staring at from across the room going, that's going to take me about 60 hours.
Yeah, I know that Mike has me for a game that's going to take me 60 hours because I'm going to 100% it for the podcast. But at the same time, it's on my Switch and I can bring that to work.
I thought that wasn't allowed because you upset somebody.
I will...
I love bothering you, Phoebe.
I still can't believe that somebody got bothered that I was A, playing a Switch on my break, and B, reading on my break.
Yeah.
It's not my fault that you're illiterate and felt like you had to be triggered by that.
I mean, the part that I don't get is why the company should have been like, okay, she's on break, she can do what she wants, like, it's not hurting anybody, like, get over it.
Yeah, my partner works HR, and he said the same thing too. He's like, I would have told that whoever said that to like fuck off and go away.
Joe, our last HR person. Oh God, there are words I could say.
We'll have a declassified podcast once you leave that job eventually and go back to Boston.
Oh my God, please. Let me break the NDA live on podcasts.
I've said things about jobs that I don't work at anymore, so once you don't work there anymore, just be careful what you say. But I don't know.
I was gonna say I don't think that's quite how it works. Yeah. Especially if you sign things.
It's not, but I've never signed any NDAs. I mean, I don't say things that the company would be very upset about ever, but I do make comments about.
I'm not going to be giving away company secrets. I'm just going to absolutely tear them 8 new ones.
Yeah, that's fine. That's everybody. That's what Glassdoor is for too.
Okay, so we were talking about the ending of Control.
Yes, please, thank you.
Speaking of NDAs, how many do you think they had to sign for the FBC?
I don't think you get out of the FBC. I think you die.
I was going to say, because they're in the Alan Wake one. Whenever you find the whole investigation facility turned down, there's like a letter of resignation from someone in like one of the files you can find.
Oh yeah, and is
Yeah,
it
I don't-
in the Alan Wake DLC too, where there's like the vindictive boss who is like mad that they're investigating stuff without him?
I don't think it goes well for either of those people.
I just really like that they put those kind of office pettiness in the game.
Well, how much does the FBC pay?
You live there.
Yeah, you live there. Free rent.
You never get into any residential area, but I'm sure that there's a residential area in that building.
Oh yeah.
Probably.
I would be looking for the hamburger object of power.
The never-ending hamburger.
Bring it over to the anchor, make an area that's
No,
just
the
the
FBC
hamburgers.
I wasn't
Euro
supposed to eat
made
that.
A deal with McDonald's or something. There's just like a McDonald's or a Burger King located in the oldest house.
Oh my God! You have to you look at a picture of a restaurant and you flip a light switch or pull a light cord 3 times and just get transported there.
If
I had to Google
You're
that at
already
one
sitting
point.
down and there's a Whopper in front of you.
If this game would have gotten made when Alan Wake got made, it might have been sponsored by a Burger King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been
sponsored by
amazing.
Verizon and Duracell.
Verizon,
So
Energizer, and I don't remember which
It's
battery
Verizon,
company
Energizer.
it was. And then Quantum Break, everybody drives around in Nissans.
I forgot about that. That's right.
I'm
So-
okay with product placement like that because it fits the world.
Yeah,
So
it's fine, but it would have been fun to see Control sponsored by Burger King and have them have a restaurant there and see how they made it work, how they made the restaurant work.
The actual Burger King is there.
Yeah, yep. Oh no, the Burger King head is an object of power.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Make Sneak
You can have it your
part
way,
of
all
the
right.
Remedy universe.
Oh, make Sneak King part of the Remedy universe. I love that.
Could you imagine, like,
I
here's
love
the recipe for the Whopper, and it's just a bunch of redacted, like, that'd be so good.
Whoever puts the mask on, they become the Burger King and they
Yeah.
get all knowledge of Burger King.
Oh, what is it? The mask from the Justice
there's not
League?
that much
The
knowledge there. Trust me. I used to work.
Well-
Dr. Fate mask?
Oh, I was thinking about the fucking llama SCP, but yeah, it's like Dr. Fate. Nabu just fucking possesses you and goes, "Here's your Whopper."
Oh God, this is such a good idea. Let's see if we can work for Remedy.
So,
I don't
Jim-
want to work for any video game company, sir. None.
So, Jim, you've been working at the FPC for a week. How do you like it? I miss Starbucks. Me too.
Ew.
I wanted to work for the video game industry. Then I watched what happened this year, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's
I'm
still
good.
going.
yeah.
I know.
You notice that the two companies that aren't getting rid of people and are actually hiring are Remedy and From, like the ones that care about the way that they make their games.
So 1% of all the companies out there. All right.
Yeah, so that's why I'm trying to get us to work for Remedy.
They're the third.
Hey, if I worked for a video game company, I couldn't do this show.
Nah, we probably could.
The podcast
You
listens
just
to a
gonna
lot of
talk
geek
about
box.
games that you worked on.
No, you
Not a
can't
big
even
old
like
disclaimer.
that
I
too.
wa-
But
I watch a couple of YouTubers that
Oh.
work in video games.
yeah,
I don't see why it would be
McCall from 302010 works at Ubisoft, and he has a video game podcast. Yeah, never mind. I remember in Geekbox somebody talking about like, yeah, I can't talk about movies or I can't talk about any video games. But I work for a video game company. But then again, Phil works for the Pokemon company and Game Freak, and he talks about games. He can't talk about Pokemon.
There you
So,
go.
and Player One podcast. Yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I'm tired. I've had 2 beers, bitch.
God damn it.
Hell yes.
This can't
Right,
listen
so
to this curse
We
here.
were talking about the ending of Control, I think.
Yes, before we got sidetracked to work and other things.
Look, we're talking about the end of Control, but we need to wrap this up because I have another podcast in the morning with Mike. So let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Oh shit, sorry.
It's not as
Oh,
important.
we still got
as this
time. I
one.
got questions. Yeah.
I have to work in the morning too.
Oh, that's not important either.
It's not.
All right, Mike, go ahead. Ending
All right,
of
that's
Control.
about the ending then. All right, I was waiting on that. All right, from we'll go on to questions, comments, memories from the I watched the entire Old Blood Super replay from Natalia Tucker. My favorite game of all time, at least until I finish Alan Wake 2. It's like it in the whole Remedyverse were tailor-made for me specifically. from Richard Sampson, friend of the show.
I agree. Usually, I don't agree with with these people who write into these shows, but I agree 100% with this person.
I don't know if people even really write in. It just, I don't even know. I'm surprised it still works. Like I just post in Facebook groups and it's like people just respond and it's been wonderful.
You know what always makes me laugh is when I see those posts and I'm on that episode and then I write something.
All right. And let's see. From Richard Sampson, friend of the show, currently working my way through it is enjoyable and trippy. A very fun experience so far. From Daniel Big Bloom, I played through it and completed it in January. Totally agreed about its greatness. I was surprised that it's a Metroidvania in a good way. My only nitpick is the timing of the DLC missions. The characters started talking about getting to the end of things when my brain got into finale mode. Then the DLC stuff popped up. I love the DLC stuff to bits. They just felt like extra padding when they came up right before the end of the game. They'd been available earlier. Things would have flowed more smoothly for me. Play it when it comes out. Unlike what I did, but I get it. From Antone Trailer, recently finished Control and DLC so I could play Alan Wake 2. I love the lore and the presentation of the world. Very slick. From Brendan Smith, one of my all-time favorite games, no question. I absolutely adore it. Setting and lore, the combat is great. Fun once you master it, and has one of my single favorite abilities in gaming with a telekinetic throw. Hurling a chair into an office full of cluttered desks and seeing everything explode will never fail to make me smile. So satisfying. Oh yeah, everything's destructible. Well, not everything, but it feels destructible and it looks damn cool.
And the only time that I use the gun, the only time that I use the service weapon is to explode the fire extinguishers, which is one of the most satisfying things. If you haven't shot a fire extinguisher in Control, do it. It's second only to when you leave the elevators, there's the walls with the papers. If you dash into them, the papers fly in the most visually satisfying way. Do those two things. If you load Control back up, re-download Control so that you can dash at some papers and shoot a fire extinguisher. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, sorry. I installed immediately because that's just me. From Matt Pinkleton, Control story was just as good as its gameplay, and it's so weird and mysterious and intriguing, it makes you want to keep going to see what crazy direction it veers off to next. It's legit a top 10 game for me, with one of my favorite protagonists in gaming and one of my all-time favorite gaming levels for the Ashtrays Maze. It's a 10 out of 10. From Brad Hooring, closest thing we'll ever get to a AAA SCP game, which I would totally play, just saying.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is a AAA SCP. Like, it is an SCP game.
It is an
like,
SCP game.
It is.
What
it
is
just
SCP?
is.
The Secure, Contain, and Protect Foundation. It's an online database of, I don't want to say fan fictions, but it's a bunch of just writings that people can post up of different objects, creatures, et cetera, that the world, kind of like Illuminati or something, collects and places into different sites around the world. And some of these different objects, which are like SCP dash and then a number, interact with each other. There are short stories. There are different pieces of lore. Like you could have 5 SCPs connected together into one story. Like the Horror of Blood is extremely good.
And
there's a very scary video game.
Yes.
The cool thing about them is that everything that gets written is all canon. So like if somebody puts something in there, it's there and it is part of that world. It's awesome. And it's Control. That's what it is.
It's one of the reasons why I like this game, because they also have a bunch of kooky, goofy ones. Like off the top of my head, which is I think my favorite one that I've read for a long time, is there's a vending machine that doesn't have a screen. It's just a vending machine with buttons, and you can put money in it, and it'll give you a random object each time. And like it goes from like sodas that don't exist, like a dragon fruit Pepsi, or like
a raw uranium.
Yeah, or like a raw uranium. And then I think there's even ones where it's like, oh yeah, there's one specific doctor that this fucking machine hates, and every time he puts money in, it just gives him apple seeds.
Okay. All right. From the Giant Bomb group, I got a lot, so I won't be able to read all these. From Alex Wilkie, tried it, but it dropped off real early on when I couldn't work out where to go based on what the map was telling me. These days, I'm just bummed that they charge full price again for the PS5 version with no upgrade path. Otherwise, I'd give it another shot.
Ooh.
I don't really understand that. But
I've heard a couple people that are like, yeah, I dropped off after an hour, and it's like, yeah, but you're missing out so bad.
You are.
Like I can see dropping off in an hour, but at the same time, man, I feel bad. I feel bad when people drop off of this game because they're really missing something special.
No, I agree completely. From Jarek Wilkinson, Control reminding me of why I love video games. The Ashtray Maze is still one of the best moments in gaming for me. From Aaron Hill, Control is still the only game I have a platinum in. Love it so much. Jonas Cabrera, how I imagine a great SCP game. Enjoyed it and the subtle nod to other Remedy games. Michael Derby, one of my absolute favorites of the year. 3 words only, Ashtray Maze sequence. From David Stump, Control is one of my top 5. It's so good that if it hadn't milked it for all it's worth, I would play it again. Probably will. I will when I get so old I forget the minute to minute. Yeah, you don't want that. From Andrew Berger, I went to give it a shot last week, coincidentally, and had to turn it off after like 15 minutes because I'm colorblind, and the whole palette is red with monochrome, and they didn't care to think about that.
Oh,
Ooh.
So
Yeah,
that's got
Wow.
that sucks that they didn't put any colorblind options in. I don't even look because I'm not, but
Way to
yeah,
go,
I can
Sam
see
Lake.
I can see if you're one of those people who can't see like red, that this game would
Oh,
be
yeah.
completely like unplayable.
I feel like, that's becoming more and more of a thing where we're getting more options in video games.
Is that a good thing, though? Because there are some games that don't pull it off well. Like, look up what Tekken 8 did.
Okay. I don't know
I
enough
think-
to comment.
I think The Last of Us 2 is like the bar for
Yes.
accessibility options in games.
Too bad I don't want to play that game ever. So
Oh, it's really good.
I never
know,
want to
I-
play it again either. Like,
It's
I never
so
played it.
good.
I don't want to.
Oh my god, it's so good.
It's someday I got to do both of them on the show, but
The first one, meh. The second one, fantastic.
Colby, you are actively the only person I've ever heard say it.
Well, I stand by it because fuck Joel. I hate him.
well, good news.
spoilers.
If
Spoilers
you
for
weren't going to
Control.
play it, then who cares? Also,
I
that
knew
game
it
is
anyway, unfortunately,
that game is
so.
older than Control. So shut up.
No, it's not. It came out in 2020.
Did
yeah,
it?
they
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. It did.
July
Okay,
of 2020.
All right,
It's
I'm
middle
wrong.
of pandemic season.
I'm wrong.
And-
Anyway, 4 years old.
From Chris
if you haven't played-
Lichos, I actually wasn't too big on it on the PS4 due to a bunch of launch tech issues. Glad I replayed it last year on the PS5 since that all cleaned up and it runs super smooth. Quantum Break is still their best game though.
Oof.
Can
That's
we
from a
ask them if
crazy person.
if they've played Alan Wake 2 yet?
I don't want to ask any of those questions. We'll come down the way too. From Jeff Nickel, I actually just started playing it because I wanted to finish it before starting Alan Wake 2, as I heard it has some story stuff from it. I don't know why it took me so long to start it. I've been absolutely hooked since I began playing it, and I'm only 2 achievements away from getting 100%. From Israel Rojano, I loved Alan Wake's 2 vibe, but as a video game, Control is my favorite Remedy joint. From Tom Yanko, even with the powers of floating and throwing shit and ground pounding and taking over enemies' minds, it can still just as much sense to move from cover to cover with a pistol. It can, but you're missing out on part of the fun. From Matt Eckert, I played Alan Wake for a while because it was a PS Plus game. I think I got farther than that. We'll finish Devious Dungeon this weekend, but 79 cents on PSN, one of the best deals ever. Okay, that had nothing to do with what I'm asking. So, like, all right.
Well, at least you pre-screen these before you read them on,
Yeah, of course.
on the podcast.
Pre-screen as I'm reading them. So, from Alex Omito, I think it's a perfectly serviceable game with a terrible final encounter. Its world-building documents and vibes are what made it great. The gunplay is not the best, but combined with the powers, it gets the job done. Also, weirdly difficult for no reason. Ashtray Maze was super fun, and I love getting to step into that world. Solid game, bit overhyped gameplay-wise. This is from the official Laser Time community. From Chrissy Cohn, I feel like I'm in a similar boat. I have had it downloaded for years, but hadn't played it, even though I hear nothing but amazing things about it. From James Ferguson, this is one of my first games I picked up after I got my PS5. I just finished it a few weeks ago. Very creepy stuff and super fun. I was grateful for the immortal option at some point because I just got stuck and kept dying over and over. Yeah.
Get good.
From Kenny Kirch, this is my number 1 favorite game of all time. The universe, the way they build the story, the combat. Oh my god, the freaking janitor. It's just perfect in my opinion. I'm playing Alan Wake 2, but I found myself stuck and haven't made my way back to it for a bit. I'm really excited to play Quantum Break at some point too, as it's the same universe, and in that universe, Max Payne's a fictional character that Alan Wake wrote. This is a long one, but this is a good one. From Oliver Shadrach, when COVID hit, I was midday through a year's teaching contract in China. We were in Vietnam at the time on our half-year break. When we were told we couldn't return to China, we're given no advice on how to collect our belongings, nor if we even had a job at this point. After a few emergency plans were made, I returned to England with no job, little money, and no PS4. among many other possessions. After a year's pandemic era confusion, I eventually paid a horrendous amount of money to have my property shipped home through poorly translated conversations with Chinese acquaintances who I asked to ransack my house and pack my bags for me. Control was the first game I played after the longest gaming break since I had first started 25 years ago, and it reminded me so potently how much I cherish the medium of games in its entirety, especially as the world burned around us. I could speak to the intrigue of the characters, the sublime world building, the craft or the lore, the weighty, flowing combat, and the phenomenal experience of the game, but for me it will always be a reminder of reclaiming my happy place in a chaotic world through enjoying a chaotic experience in the happiest of mediums.
Dear God.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, COVID. I mean, I got lucky for COVID. Like, I had a job, I lived with my wife, so it wasn't like things were fine. But for some people, and that just made me think about, like, damn, man, 2020 was a fucking hell of a year for people. All right, from Mark Isherwood, how weird. I've been playing this over the last few weeks, really got into it now. From Dan Slattery, heard nothing but great things about this one. I started it twice, but never got very far into it. Maybe third time's a charm. I'll have to start it again since I got PS Plus 2. Let's see. From Brian Kinzel, same here. I played about a year or so ago, enjoyed the hell out of it. Fun game, fun aesthetic, fun story, just all around a good, enjoyable game. I never played Alan Wake, but I imagine I might try that sometime. From Ross Dobson, I love Control. Dipped back into it recently to play the AWE DLC, and it was gloriously fun. From Chris Dobson, friend of the show, I like the story, but the combat encounters were just such a turnoff for me. I understand it's short and that there's basically a guided mode level of difficulty for people like me who hate shooters or being stuck, but I haven't gone back to it. And from Maxwell Power, my game of the year for 2019.
Game of the year 2019 for sure.
From Nick Turner, I got this when it came out, but I didn't play because I was waiting for the free PS5 upgrade. I think it was worth it because I really enjoyed the adaptive trigger thing in this game. And last one I'm going to read from Justin Farrington. Got about halfway through it twice and got distracted by other things, even though I was really enjoying it. Then with all the Alan Wake 2 hype and me not having anything that would play it, I went back to Control again and really got into it and played to the end. Brilliant game. Glad I finally managed to concentrate. All right.
Feel that.
So you got to do like me and just, you put a podcast, you put it in your schedule and you tell yourself, I will beat it. You don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's the trick. I have only not beaten 2 games on this show. So Beautiful Joe and Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 2, but that's because Soul Reaver 2 would not work no matter what I did. The ROM wouldn't work, nothing would work. PC game wouldn't work, just would not work.
Wow, that's too bad because those are both great games.
Beautiful Joe worked, I just sucked. I couldn't finish it.
Oh, Beautiful Joe. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I was playing on GameCube. I got near the end, the boss rush stuff, and I just couldn't finish it.
Yeah, it's tough, but man, what a fucking cool game Beautiful Joe is.
It is, and I didn't have save
Love
state.
that series. They'll make a third one eventually.
Yeah, sure they will. And when Soul Reaver 2, I ended up watching YouTube videos of the whole game because just nothing else would work.
I love those Soul Reaver games.
In Blood Omen 2, I got to the final boss fight and it froze up, and I was like, and I was just about to kill him, and I'm like, close enough. So it just wouldn't load. There was something wrong with the game, just would not.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a ROM, but still, like, those games are notoriously bad at running.
Yeah.
All right, and then before we go to our last segment, I should give out a code. Let's see what I have. I'm so glad I'm always prepared for these. All right, code for... I don't want to do that. Let's do this. Eichenfell for Steam. I have no idea what this is. The code is V3OV5YG7YBCXYL8Q, and that is your code, Steam code for Eichenfell. Whatever the hell that is.
It's a very cartoony RPG.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Like, I like the art style on this thing.
Yeah, I own it. That's all I know.
It looks very cute.
Remember that.
Hey, people do download all the codes I give out, because every so often I've had one guy would message me because the code won't work sometimes. Like, either I said it wrong or who knows, like maybe the code's expired, so I'm trying to get rid of them and not keep them forever. And then I know a friend of mine, Watt, who will post in the Discord. Oh yeah, join the Discord, people. And he'll be like, I missed it when you weren't as popular. I can't get the codes all the time anymore because he's way behind. He's behind on the show.
It's $6 on GOG right now. I might actually buy this because it looks really cool.
Yeah, it's a turn-based RPG.
Yeah.
It does look cool. I just forgot what it was until I just had the code sitting there. All right, let's go to Shelf Stacker Box then. And Nate, why don't you go first?
Oh, I am going to put this on the stack. It's a good game. I enjoyed it a lot more when there was not a lot of technical issues. but the main story just drags it down, in my opinion. Very excited for Control 2, though.
All right. And Colby.
Oh, this doesn't even go on the shelf. This goes on its own shelf, on the wall, collector's edition, all the stuff out, just proudly displayed for everyone to see. This is, I am a keeper of lists. It is on my list of games that I have beaten and like left a mark on me. This is number 3 out of like, I think there's like 400 something on that list right now. But yeah, only Bloodborne and Super Metroid are above it. And that's Super Metroid is probably for more nostalgia reasons than anything. But yeah, one of my absolute favorites of all time. I can't say enough good stuff about this game. I love it. So shelf plus.
Sanctuary.
Shelf plus.
Sleep with it under the pillow. Keep it safe.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be very safe, though, under your pillow. I feel like you might damage it then.
That's why it's up on the shelf. By itself.
And Phoebe, what about you?
Oh, this is absolutely going on the shelf. I love all of the things that it's influenced by. I love Remedy. I think they can pretty much do no wrong at this point.
Okay. Mr. Joseph.
This is also going on the shelf for me. I love all the in-depth stuff. I honestly wish I had more time to read all of it because I kind of skimmed through some of it this time because there's another AAA title that is out right now that I am hell-bent on playing. And I've only gotten 4 hours in and I hate myself for it. But there's tons of small stuff in this that is also just completely endearing. One of them being that, I don't know if y'all knew this either, Ati says Percola a lot, which is just a Swedish version of God damn it. And that spoiled a boss for me because in a game called Fear and Hunger 2, the final boss is named Percola, which basically proves, which is the twist at the end of the game, is that he's a false god. So tons of goofy stuff, tons of lore, all kinds of other stuff. Love it to pieces.
I'll go last. I'm going to put this on the shelf also. I really had a good time. The game itself is just long enough, really fun. I couldn't put it down. Played it on the Steam Deck. It was wonderful, and I just loved it. I had an amazing time, and the fact that it has features to let me not suck and get up mad was wonderful.
Yeah, and like, you know, I said a bunch of times, like, get good. I'm just joking about that. I did beat this game twice on its original difficulty, but when I played it for this game, I did have all of those things on. Still fun, like, still worth playing, even if you're doing all of that stuff. Like, just whatever you do, whatever you have to do to make this game fun for yourself, play it, because it's such a good game. And it has a level of craftsmanship that is just astounding.
Yeah, it was something else. I couldn't believe that it took me this many years to finally get around to it. Like, and I own it. Like I said, multiple versions of it. Like, I don't know why I didn't get it. But again, I'm not that surprised. It's me. Like, sometimes it takes me years to get around to a game. Like, it just happens.
Yeah.
I mean, there's multiple games that I've done on the show where I bought it 3-4 times before I finally play it. And it's been like 20 years. So that happens. All right, I should introduce what we're talking about next week. Why am I drawing a blank all of a sudden?
Oh, no.
Next week, we are talking about Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass.
I was going to say, I knew that.
That's next week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's next week. Yeah, Phantom Hourglass. I got too much going on in my head. Too much podcast recordings. Is it?
Do you think that
what year is it every so often?
Trying to redact your thoughts?
Oh, and Nate, where can people find you at?
Hey, I'm Nate. You can find me on TikTok at Nate Does Comedy. I do stand-up comedy around the Ohio area.
And Phoebe.
Hi, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff as the Let's Play Princess. I'm currently at this point of recording streaming Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and on the YouTube side, it's still Virtue's Last Reward and Fallout 3.
All right, and Colby.
You can find me not on social media, maybe my Instagram at Jack Billings Presents. Sometimes, but Jack Billings, just look up Jack Billings Presents. We have both of our seasons of the podcast. Jack Billings Presents Me and My Neighbor Michael and Haunted Apartment Complex. It's an absurdist scripted comedy podcast. And you can also find me on This Bizarre Adventure, where I watch episodes of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for the first time, and I am obsessed with it now. It's so good.
Where are you at?
We just finished We just finished Battle Tendency.
Yeah.
So I'm ready. I'm ready to get into the nuttiness. I'm ready for stands. I'm ready for all of that stuff.
Stardust
Oh,
Crusade.
yes.
I was just flipping through. I was at Books A Million today, and I was flipping through the mangas, and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for what's coming up.
All right. And if you enjoyed this episode, I am happy to say there are over 600 other episodes of podcasts on Games My Mom Found on Podbean. You can find everything we do, video games, movies, comics, whatever the hell people convince me to, or I convince people to talk about with, usually a little later. But there are tons of different content. You can just go search. You never know what you're going to find. You can search Alan Wake. You will find an episode, 2 now. But go look through our giant catalog. If you want to support the show, we do a Patreon. Little Dog Vote in our Patreon poll. We have a poll every month. Lately, 2. I've been doing 2 polls every month now. Even if somebody's not happy about one of those polls, or you get to vote for Eternals and he has to watch it. But so go do that, support the show. We have a Discord. Please join our Discord. Chat with us. See a link in the show notes for everything I just mentioned. And I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Elena at Hell Hask Fear. You can follow her on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. You will see a link in the show notes to her link tree. And want to give a shout out to Bill Tucker, a gamer looks at 40s on the show quite often. Definitely go support his show. He should be coming back soon. I forget. I think he might already be back by the time you hear this. But go check him out and check out Nintendo Main Podcast and Nomads of Fantasy, 2 other great podcasts that I work with. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, YouTube, TikTok, and review us wherever. Spotify, iTunes, please review us. I think that's everything I need to say, so we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.